Han Ju listened to the other party and pondered. Han Ju listened to the other party and pondered. What do you mean? Was she trying to recruit him? As her disciple? Or maybe possess him? Possession. Han Ju panicked. He was so handsome and had such high potential. Even an immortal would probably be envious. This area has already been isolated by my dermic powers. No one can detect our presence. We can talk without worries. The hoarse voice sounded again. Han Ju asked cautiously, "May I know your identity?" The hoarse voice replied, "I'm from the Bridge of Forgetfulness." The Bridge of Forgetfulness? Wasn't that a bridge? The manifestation of the Bridge of Forgetfulness? Wait. Mengpa. Han Ju was shocked. What was Mengpa trying to do? Did she want to recruit him as an assistant? You know the background of your newest disciple, don't you? Han Ju asked curiously, what background does she have? A genius of the heavenly immortal manner? Could it be that the heavenly immortal manner has your support? As a loose immortal, he could already see through the Grand Magus origin. If news of this were to spread, it would definitely attract fear. You really don't know. Your disciples are all extraordinary. The hoarse voice teased. Han Ju remained silent. The hoarse voice continued, I'll just say it directly. Tu Ling'er is the reincarnated great magus of our magus race. The reason why she approached you is definitely that you can make her stronger. Every great magus has a special ability that they are born with. Tu Ling'er's special ability is to find the opportunity that's most beneficial to her through the premonition of a dream. This is also the reason why she survived the magus demon calamity. Previously, you came to the netherworld. I remember your aura. Therefore, when Tu Ling'er found you, I specially checked you. You don't have negative karma or a powerful background, but you've come to this point. You might become the hope of the magus race. The hope of the magus race? Mengpa was from the magus race. Han Ju thought quickly. This content is taken from Light Novel World. As long as you lead Tu Ling'er to become an immortal emperor, you will be a benefactor of the magus race. Han Ju asked curiously, what realm is an immortal emperor? Golden Immortal. Above Golden Immortal is Immortal Emperor. To be honest, the Heavenly Court might want to clean up the mortal world I'm in. Can you help me? No, the Heavenly Court is in charge of the Netherworld. I have no right to interfere. Then what can I get by helping the magus race? If you die, I can take you in. Han Ju was speechless. He felt like he had been fooled. He then asked, can you help me carve out a place in the netherworld where I can stay and not be disturbed? No problem. Han Ju heaved a sigh of relief. That was more like it. So, you agreed? The hoarse voice asked. Han Ju replied, I like Tu Ling'er, too. Besides, she has already acknowledged me as her master. The other party had already revealed his cards. If Han Ju refused, he might not be able to leave. Mengpa has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars. Han Ju immediately used his essence soul as the center and started the simulation trial. He found Mengpa and started fighting. A second later, he was defeated instantly. Han Ju wasn't surprised. He just wanted to copy the data and use Mengpa as a template in the future. In Mengpo's eyes, Han Ju only closed his eyes for a second, as if he was thinking about something. Han Ju cupped his fists and said, I still have to continue breaking through. I won't talk to you anymore. Mengpo's voice sounded. Han Ju stopped thinking and focused on absorbing the chi of reincarnation to strengthen his essence soul. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. The Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain regained its calm. Xing Hongxian, Li Qingzi, and the others also left and continued cultivating. The disciples didn't discuss for long. 3 years later. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju's essence soul returned to his body, which had transformed drastically. With the numinous treasures and supreme treasures shining brightly on him, he resembled an immortal god. He had completely become a reincarnation loose immortal. His strength was more than 100 times stronger than before. Han Ju opened his attributes list. Name, Han Ju, lifespan, 779/1,294,000, race, immortal, cultivation, early stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm, technique, 6 paths of reincarnation, can be inherited, magic, unparalleled finger divine sword, 7 illusionary steps, 3 pure shadow sword, unparalleled, 9 dragons devil expelling seal, major kiliacosm thunderstorm, wind god technique, still phase technique, mystical power, 6 paths soul absorption, heavenly punishment ghost deity sword, imitate. Heaven and earth, somersault cloud, 10,000 sword sect, can be inherited, Tathagata incantation, 6 paths ultimate seal, firmament sword chi, heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger, universe in the sleeves, door of reincarnation, invocation technique, equipment, little universe belt, Qilin sword, demon binding rope, burning fiend bell, 6th grade numinous treasure, frost lord's glazed crown, 4th grade numinous treasure, book of misfortune, grand unity supreme. Treasure, earth emperor's soul ward, 3rd grade numinous treasure, heart protecting immortal chain, 3rd grade numinous treasure, calm meditation mat, grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, heavenly spirit bracelet, supreme grade numinous treasure, purple gold soft armor, grand unity 8th grade numinous treasure, 9-layered heaven trampling boots, grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, giant spiritual wrist guard, grand unity 5th grade numinous treasure, imperial dragon. Destiny carriage, grand unity 2nd grade numinous treasure, 9-5 supreme providence robe, grand unity supreme treasure, self-created mystical power, 3 pure world cleansing, grand unity, sword intent, reincarnation sword intent, grand unity, birth dharma treasure, primordial judgment sword, cultivation potential, spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It contains top-notch wind, fire, water, earth, wood, and thunder cultivation potentials. Increases providence to a certain extent. Khanate providence is as follows: unparalleled, immortal beauty, top-notch charm, destined sword fanatic, top-notch sword Dao aptitude, top-notch sword Dao learning ability, unparalleled movement technique, top-notch movement technique aptitude, descendant of the immortal emperor. After the game begins, you will receive an unparalleled cultivation technique. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience 29 million years of lifespan. Who else could compare to him? Han Ju became proud. He loved seeing his lifespan increase. Han Ju suppressed his excitement and checked Meng Po's cultivation. Meng Po, early stage of the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm, ghost deity of the Netherworld, created by the Magus race. She is hidden in the Netherworld and holds the responsibility of reincarnation. Her wish is to strengthen the Magus race. Current favorability, 3 stars, Grand Unity True Immortal. No wonder he couldn't win. Han Ju was secretly glad that he didn't reject Meng Po. Otherwise, he would have died in the Netherworld. This was also good. In the future, after the people he cared about passed away, he could greet Meng Po and tell her not to feed them her soup. But then again, the devils and the magi were hiding in the Netherworld. Could the Netherworld be a refuge for defeated races? Han Ju took out the Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings crown and started to make it recognize him as its owner. Several hours later, he put on the Grand Imperial Phoenix Wings crown and decided to give it to Xing Hongxian. Han Ju then took out the Book of Misfortune and started to curse Vermilion Bird. As for Daoist Juyan, he was no longer a threat. Han Ju decided to wait for him to come personally. While cursing, he checked his emails. From them, he could see that the cultivation world seemed to be very peaceful. Only Ji Xianxian had been attacked by true devils dozens of times. Other than that, there was no news of the true devils. Could it be that Ji Xianxian had wiped out the true devils? Goodness. This fellow was a little fierce. He didn't have an illustrious background from his previous life, but he had fought his way out from the crowd of people with great providence and became the #1 prodigy in the world. Han Ju checked Ji Xianqin's profile and discovered that his cultivation level had already reached the 4th level of the Mahayana realm. This breakthrough speed was very fast. Second only to Han Ju himself. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Han Ju sent a voice transmission to Dao Comprehension Sword, indicating that she could enter. Han Ju sent a voice transmission to Dao Comprehension Sword, indicating that she could enter. Dao Comprehension Sword immediately stood up happily and rushed towards the Khanate cave abode. When the others saw this, they understood that Han Ju's seclusion had ended. Murong Qi clicked his tongue in wonder. How strong is Grandmaster now? This is the first time he's been in seclusion for so long. Although Han Ju had been cultivating diligently all along, he could visit him at any time. Unlike this time, where he was not to be disturbed for several years. Even Dao Comprehension Sword was chased out. I'm not sure. He's probably above the 5th level of the Mahayana realm. Fang Liang shook his head. 5th level of the Mahayana realm? The three-headed Wirm king secretly felt disdain. Your Grandmaster has probably reached the 9th level of the Mahayana realm. The three-headed Wirm king was very curious. Han Ju was clearly an ascetic. His cultivation level had reached the peak of the mortal world, so why didn't he ascend? Does he want to experience invincibility? But Han Ju didn't go out, either. Tu Linger was also very curious about Han Ju's cultivation level. On the other side, inside the Khanate cave abode, Dao Comprehension Sword sat on his mat and looked at him curiously. Master, did you break through your realm or cultivate a mystical power? Han Ju closed his eyes to cultivate and replied, realm. He was pleasantly surprised to discover that the Fusang tree was not only emitting heaven and earth spirit qi, but also an even higher level spirit qi. This spirit qi was much stronger than ordinary spirit qi. Could this be the immortal qi from the immortal world? It was very likely. The Fusang tree could attract the golden crows of the upper world to the mortal world, which meant that it had spirit qi that could help the living beings of the upper world cultivate. Han Ju was completely relieved. Even if he had stepped into the reincarnation loose immortal realm, he could still cultivate in the mortal world. He was puzzled. Was the reincarnation loose immortal realm equivalent to the loose immortal realm? Visit to Light Novel World. Discover new novels. The 6 realms of reincarnation were divided into loose immortal, earth immortal, heaven immortal, true immortal, mystic immortal, and golden immortal. Was reincarnation earth immortal equivalent to a grand unity earth immortal? He had to ask that good brother. Cultivate well. I have to continue comprehending a mystical power. Han Ju interrupted Dao Comprehension Sword and began to comprehend the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. Dao Comprehension Sword suppressed her excitement and began cultivating. Several days later, Han Ju entered the Sword Dao River. This time, he didn't cause any phenomenon because he had already surpassed all living beings. The heavenly Dao couldn't control him anymore. He quickly arrived in front of Zhang Guxing. Zhang Guxing smiled and said, "You're here again. You. Loose immortal realm. You ascended." He was still calm in the beginning, but his tone suddenly increased. Han Ju smiled and asked, "Senior, I want to ask you something. Above the loose immortal realm, is it earth immortal or grand unity earth immortal?" Zhang Guxing calmed down and replied, "It's naturally the grand unity earth immortal. Above that are the grand unity heaven immortal, the grand unity true immortal, the grand unity mystic immortal, and the grand unity golden immortal. Grand unity is a Dao fruit. It was created by the Dao sect. When the Dao sect was at its peak, it opened up the cultivation system. The Grand Unity Tao fruit entered deep into the rules of the heavenly Tao. Han Ju suddenly understood. So that was the case. He had assumed that the Grand Unity realm was above the 6 realms of reincarnation. That would be too terrifying. But this made sense. He was a sword immortal of reincarnation and did not follow the conventional system. Han Ju continued to ask, above Grand Unity is Zenith Heaven? In the mythological novels, they all had such systems. In the Taoist texts it was also mentioned that Grand Unity and Zenith Heaven were on an equal level, but they were different systems. Zhang Guxing replied, in the Savage Era, above Grand Unity was indeed Zenith Heaven. However, over the long years, countless experts appeared. They used their own cultivation to increase the power of a certain realm. They passed down such insights for generations and changed the balance of cultivation realms. Now, there are the Emperor Realm and Deity Realm between Grand Unity and Zenith Heaven. An immortal emperor can escape the 6 paths and travel freely through the myriad worlds without restrictions by the rules of the heavenly Tao. They no longer have lifespan restrictions. Immortal emperors are the top existences in the upper world. Even if an immortal emperor dies, as long as a trace of his soul remains, he can make a comeback from the cycle of reincarnation and not have his Tao heart erased. Speaking of the immortal emperor, Zhang Guxing's tone was filled with envy. Han Ju couldn't help but think of Murong Qi. In his previous life, he had been surrounded and killed by a group of immortal emperors. Could it be that he had reached an even higher realm? This content is taken from Light Novel World. Han Ju asked, what about the deity realm? What is it? Zhang Guxing replied, the deity realm is formed by the incense offerings of the mortal world and enjoys great providence that is inextinguishable. Even if the soul is dispersed, it can still be revived. They're even harder to deal with than immortal emperors. In terms of the strength of their dharmic powers, they're also stronger than those at the emperor realm. Often, mighty figures who have reached the deity realm create their own world. As for the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, that's a supreme existence. Legend has it that the Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal is above the 3,000 laws. They can traverse the long river of history or cross time, space, and karma. Han Ju was impressed. He set a small goal. Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. Zhang Guxing changed the topic and asked curiously, you're not even 1,000 years old and have already become a loose immortal. With your potential, if you transcend the tribulation of ascension, you might be able to directly reach the Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm. You haven't ascended. Han Ju nodded and said, didn't I say before that the vermilion bird is waiting for me in the upper world? I don't want to die, much less delete my account and start over. Delete your account and start over. I mean reincarnation. Oh. The two of them fell silent. After a while, Han Ju asked again, how will the heavenly court clean up the mortal world? Do they directly destroy the mortal world or slaughter all living beings? Zhang Guxing replied, slaughter all living beings. The formation of a mortal world takes countless years. The price to destroy it is too high. Typically, they will only send heavenly soldiers to kill all living beings and then bring those from other mortal worlds in to reproduce. To the heavenly Tao in the mortal world, all living beings are part of the heavenly Tao. When no living beings remain, the heavenly Tao will be destroyed. How strong are the heavenly soldiers sent by the heavenly court? Most of them are led by Grand Unity Earth Immortals. In some extreme situations, they will send Grand Unity Heaven Immortals. Han Ju felt the pressure. He asked some more questions, and Zhang Guxing told him everything he knew. Han Ju bid farewell and continued forward. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, he wanted to see how far he could go. Zhang Guxing looked at Han Ju's back and looked forward to it. How far can this kid go? A line of words appeared in front of Han Ju. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience, Zhang Guxing's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 3, 5 stars, Han Ju smiled secretly. I knew it. Strength was the best way to communicate. Back in the cave abode, Han Ju's heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger had transformed. It was far stronger than before. After consolidating his comprehension, Han Ju immediately entered the simulation trial and fought with Meng Pe. He was instantly killed by Meng Pe. Han Ju fought with Xian Qingjun again and killed her instantly. It was not exciting. Han Ju urgently wanted to meet a loose immortal and test his strength. Oh no, my Dao heart is unstable. Shouldn't I stay away from danger? Han Ju was secretly vigilant and felt that his thoughts were very dangerous. The heavenly Dao is bewitching me again. Han Ju calmed down and didn't think or do anything. After his heart calmed down, he stood up and left. After walking out of the Khanate cave abode, everyone under the Fusang tree stood up. Master! Grandmaster! Tu Ling'er opened her eyes and looked at Han Ju. This was the first time she saw him. What a handsome man! Tu Ling'er was stunned. Even the heavenly immortal manor did not have such a handsome man. Visit Light Novel World. Come for a better experience. Tu Ling'er has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 4 stars, read at Wuxia World. EU. 4 stars of favorability already. 4 stars of favorability already. Han Ju sighed secretly. He ignored his disciples and walked towards Xing Hongshuan's cave abode. Arriving there, he was warmly welcomed by her. Han Ju wanted to talk to her first, but he didn't expect her to be so eager. He had to use his dermic powers to envelop the cave abode to prevent any commotion from spreading. A month later, the two of them sat facing each other in clean clothes. Han Ju took out the Frost Lord's glazed crown and gave it to her. Xing Hongxian accepted it happily and stopped exchanging pleasantries. She took out the pills she coincidentally obtained and wanted to give them to him, but he rejected her. I don't need anything from the mortal world anymore. You should take care of yourself in the future. Han Ju smiled. Although he had many female friends, he still liked Xing Hongxian the most. Love was cheap, but true action was rare. To fall in love with someone, it could be because she was good-looking, it could be because she said something that you agreed with, or it could be because she smiled at you when you were at your lowest. But only the true act of giving could prove a person's status in one's heart. In the past, whenever Xing Hongxian went out to train, she would give Han Ju treasures when she returned. Although he didn't thank her, he always remembered it. Han Ju asked Xing Hongxian to take out the heavenly puppet. As he chatted with her, he helped her change the spirit energy of the heavenly puppet. It was a heavenly puppet with the strength of the loose immortal realm. If Xing Hongxian went out again, it would be difficult for her to die. Xing Hongxian had a smile on her face the entire time. She realized that Han Ju had become closer and more talkative than before. She no longer wished to monopolize him. She only hoped that she could become the most important person in his heart. Han Ju could sense that she was scheming, but that was not important. She was thinking of all ways to please him, so what could he complain about? Through Xing Hongxian, Han Ju also learned about the cultivation world. The heavenly immortal manor was attacked by the devils and was almost destroyed. Fortunately, the other holy lands helped. In the end, Ji Xianxian killed all the true devils alone and his name shook the world. The current Ji Xianxian was truly the number one in the world. Xing Hongxian snorted. What number one in the world? I think you, my husband, are the number one in the world. However, you keep a low profile like a true cultivator. Han Ju snapped. I'll only be satisfied when you become the number one in the world. You can find the rest of this content on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Alright, I'll work hard. I usually cultivate diligently and not waste time. Keep it up. Several days later. The heavenly puppet was updated to the loose immortal dermic powers. Han Ju let Xing Hongxian put it away in her storage ring. After that, he brought her out of the cave abode and called Fairy Shi Xian, Chang Yue, Li Qingzi, and Su Qi to the Fusang tree. Han Ju deliberately let the chaotic heavenly dog, Fan Wuyang, and Murong Qi surround Su Qi and suppress his bad luck. He began to preach the Tao to everyone. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, Han Ju's understanding of the great Tao deepened. His words could allow everyone to gain a deep understanding. His voice could also temporarily increase everyone's comprehension. The reason was that Han Ju had integrated his Tao into his voice and let them comprehend it together. The lecture lasted for a year. Han Ju stopped talking and everyone regained their senses. Tu Linger's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 5 stars, not only Tu Linger, but the others' favorability also increased. Han Ju stood up and smiled. That's enough. I should continue cultivating. He turned around and walked back to the Connate cave abode. Tao comprehension sword hurriedly followed. Li Qingzi sighed. Elder Han is really becoming more and more powerful. I feel like he's already become an immortal. Fairy Shi Xian asked curiously, if he became an immortal, how can he stay in the mortal world? The others were also curious about Han Ju's realm. Su Qi left first. He hurried back to his cave abode and continued comprehending the great Tao. After becoming a loose immortal, Han Ju didn't relax and continued cultivating diligently. As long as the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was safe, he did not care about the cultivation world's affairs. 5 years passed. Ji Xianchen came again. Where's Guan Yu? Come out and fight. This time, Ji Xianchen no longer sent a voice transmission to Han Ju. Instead, he shouted loudly, resounding through the entire Jade Pure Sacred Sect so that everyone could hear him clearly. Under the Fusang tree, Tu Linger opened her eyes and looked surprised. Why was Ji Xianchen here? For more, visit Light Novel World. Kam Murong Qi asked curiously, who is Guan Yu? Yang Tiandong smiled and said, it's your grandmaster. He has other names, like Chao Chao and Zhao Yun. Inside the Connate cave abode. Han Ju frowned. This fellow was a little arrogant this time. It seemed that becoming the number 1 in the world had made him arrogant. Han Ju immediately started the simulation trial. Instant kill. That's it. Han Ju shook his head and laughed. He felt that Ji Xianchen was too arrogant. He immediately disappeared from the cave abode. Several dozen li away, it was still that forest. Han Ju appeared in front of him. The current Ji Xianchen wore a golden robe, but it was still inferior to Han Ju's 9-5 Supreme Providence robe. Ji Xianchen glanced at him and was secretly jealous. He's dressed even flashier than me. Ji Xianchen said proudly, Guan Yu, I've already killed dozens of Mahayana realm devils. My strength is no longer the same as before. Do you dare to fight me? Han Ju said expressionlessly, didn't you say that you won't disturb me anymore? I just want to spar with you. There's no end to it. Why don't we fight to the death? So arrogant. Hearing Han Ju's tone, Ji Xianchen was also furious. But on second thought, what if he couldn't defeat Han Ju? He hesitated. He gritted his teeth and said, this time, if I lose again, I'll ascend directly. I won't disturb you anymore. You're sure? Yes, we'll only fight, not have a battle of life or death. Han Ju suddenly took a step forward. The two were less than half a meter apart. Han Ju raised his hand and pressed on Ji Xianchen's shoulder. His dermic powers erupted and suppressed him. Boom, Ji Xianchen couldn't take it anymore. His legs went soft and he knelt down on one knee, causing the forest to shake violently. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. His face turned pale. Impossible. This spirit energy. Ji Xianxian wanted to break free, but he couldn't. The spirit energy in his body couldn't rush out. Han Ju's dermic powers formed shackles and imprisoned him. After a long while, Ji Xianxian lowered his head and gritted his teeth. I've lost. Not only was he defeated, but he was also utterly defeated. Han Ju retracted his hand and said, "Cultivate well. With your talent, you will surpass me sooner or later. As for ascension, wait a little longer. The mortal world needs your protection. This fellow can't ascend now. The heavenly court is about to arrive." Ji Xianxian took a deep breath. He also had his dignity to uphold. "I'll never come again." Ji Xianxian stood up and left. Han Ju flashed back into the cave abode and continued cultivating. Under the Fusang tree, Tu Ling'er and Fang Liang were still in shock. The others didn't know Ji Xianxian, but they knew him. Although they were dozens of kilometers away, they could see it clearly with their cultivation. Ji Xianxian was pressed to the ground by Han Ju and couldn't move. How great was the difference in cultivation! I came to the right place. Tu Ling'er thought to herself. However, so far, Han Ju had never officially said that he wanted to take her in as his disciple. Could it be that he was still worried about her? Was it because of her previous identity? Tu Ling'er was troubled. How should she please Han Ju? When she thought of his unparalleled appearance, she couldn't help but blush. TSK. How can we cultivators think about such trivial matters? Should I give him a treasure? The source of this content is Light Novel World. Com read at Wuxia World. EU. Defeating Ji Xianxian didn't make Han Ju too happy. Defeating Ji Xianxian didn't make Han Ju too happy. The fact that Ji Xianxian had the time to challenge him meant that the true devil calamity had ended. Han Ju understood something. No matter who left the world, it would still continue to advance. From the looks of it, the devils are defeated and the demonic path is suppressed. The heavenly court shouldn't need to clean up the mortal world, right? Han Ju thought silently. No. I have to have a foolproof plan. Han Ju's essence soul immediately left his body and jumped into the netherworld. Jumping from the living world to the netherworld was faster than him rushing to the ends of the mortal world. After becoming a reincarnation loose immortal, Han Ju could clearly sense the existence of the netherworld and the immortal world. Above was the immortal world, and below was the netherworld. As for the other worlds, he couldn't sense them for the time being. Senior Meng Pa. Han Ju shouted. Ghost mist filled the surroundings. The world was dark and there was no sun or moon. It was like the deepest part of the abyss. What is it? Meng Po's voice sounded. Han Ju asked, if I want to bring some people to the netherworld, can you allow it? The living are not allowed to enter the netherworld. You can kill them. When the time comes, I'll send their souls to you. Han Ju smiled and asked, Senior, are you serious? Meng Pa said helplessly, I'm only a ghost servant. I can't make decisions in the netherworld. If the Magus race rises in the future, I can help you. Then, what can you help me with now, Senior? You wanted me to accept Tu Ling'er, so I took her in, but you can't do anything for me. Do you want to gain something for nothing? Meng Pa fell silent. Han Ju was also silent. Could it be that Meng Pa was angry and wanted to kill him? If that was the case, he couldn't befriend her. Han Ju panicked. After a while. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm Meng Pa sighed. How about I give you 2 ghost servant spots? Han Ju said helplessly, I still have to kill them in that case. I'll give you a resurrection lily. It can increase spirit chi and produce fruits that can revive the dead. The resurrection lily could still bear fruit. Han Ju learned something. Alright, how can I obtain the resurrection lily? Han Ju asked. In the dead of the night, I'll get the black and white deities to send it to your cave abode. All right. I'll leave Tu Linger in your care. No problem. Han Ju cupped his fists in the air and bowed before leaving. Late at night, Han Ju patiently waited for the arrival of the black and white deities. Speaking of which, he had never seen a ghost servant before. There were very few ghosts in the Jade Pure Sacred sect. After all, it was a righteous sect with providence protecting it. After a disciple died, their soul would be directly reincarnated and sucked into the netherworld. They wouldn't be reduced to wandering ghosts. At midnight, a cold wind blew into the Khanate cave abode. Two ghosts passed through the stone door, one black and one white. They looked like the black and white deities of the legends. They wore long ghost robes and had sinister faces. Their tongues fell outside their mouths and reached their chests. They were quite terrifying. The two ghosts looked identical. The only difference was that they were black and white. Hanged ghosts. Han Ju couldn't help but retort internally. Dao Comprehension Sword was still cultivating. She clearly could not sense the arrival of the black and white deities. The black deity came in front of Han Ju and said respectfully, "Mengpa asked the two of us to bring this treasure to you." He waved his right hand, and a flower appeared on the table. The leaves of the resurrection lily were red in color. The petals were narrow and thin as if thousands of red lines had burst out. It was strange and beautiful. Han Ju immediately used the simulation trial test. Black and white deities, 5th level of the loose immortal realm, netherworld ghost servants, only at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm. Han Ju thought that the black and white deities were very strong. Follow new episodes on the light novel world. Com platform. He asked curiously, "Are you two the only black and white deities in the underworld?" The white deity smiled. "No, the two of us are only responsible for the otherworldly ghost affairs in this mortal world. The black and white deities of a mortal world. Farewell." The black deity cupped his hands and left with the white deity. Before they reached the stone door, they vanished into thin air. Han Ju stood up and picked up the resurrection lily. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, "Who were you talking to just now?" Hearing this, Han Ju casually replied, "Two ghost servants." Ghost servants? Dao Comprehension Sword felt her blood run cold. Why didn't she see them? Han Ju carefully sized up the resurrection lily. He could feel that this flower contained a huge amount of spirit qi and the qi of reincarnation. As expected of a flower from the netherworld. Han Ju couldn't judge the value of the resurrection lily. He planted it in the corner of the cave abode. Take care of this flower in the future, Han Ju instructed Dao Comprehension Sword. Dao Comprehension Sword hurriedly nodded and stared at him planting the lily in the corner. Han Ju returned to the bed and started cultivating. The reincarnation loose immortal realm was not divided into 9 minor realms. It was divided into the early, middle, late, and perfect stages. Since it was divided into 4 levels, Han Ju would definitely take longer to break through each minor realm. The more this was the case, the more Han Ju had to spend his energy on cultivation. He couldn't slack off. Above the layers of clouds, a black crack appeared in the blue sky. Lightning flowed out like a snake. A figure slowly stepped out from the black crack. It was Daoist Juyin. He opened his arms and breathed in the spirit qi of the mortal world. He sighed. The mortal world is still the best. Another figure stepped out from the black crack behind him. It was a woman in black. The woman had a cold expression and her beautiful hair was tied into a bun. Her posture was dignified, but there was a sinister look in her eyes. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. I won't interfere in matters of the mortal world unless I encounter an existence that has surpassed the mortal world, the black-robed woman said. Daoist Juyin hurriedly turned to look at her. He bowed and said, "Thank you for following me, senior." The woman in black grunted coldly. I wonder what relationship you have with him. Since he personally asked, I came to help you. Go on, I'll stroll around the mortal world. Taoist Jian smiled apologetically and nodded. The woman in black vanished. Taoist Jian heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. Heavenly immortal manner, and the guy who killed my pet, don't even think about escaping. 10 years passed after planting the resurrection lily. Han Ju, who was cultivating, opened his eyes and frowned slightly. For some reason, he had been feeling uneasy recently. This feeling was becoming stronger. The last time was when a true devil attacked. Is the devil race up to something again? Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the vermilion bird to vent. He cursed as he checked his interpersonal relationships. After so many years, his friends had all improved. The slowest were the original elders of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, including Li Qingzi. His potential was too mediocre. The current Jade Pure Sacred Sect was already considered a holy land. The disciples they recruited were not only from the Great Yen but also from the surrounding states. Their aptitudes far exceeded the previous disciples. As the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger, the elders also constantly changed. Most of the people had left by themselves as they could not withstand the pressure. When the average cultivation level of the core disciples reached the nascent soul realm, the nascent soul realm elders were indeed very embarrassed. No, I can't increase my cultivation level for the time being. I have to strengthen my mystical power. After all, the heavenly court can come at any time. Han Ju thought silently. 6 days later, he began to comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing. A month later, he continued to study the somersault cloud. He couldn't only think of insta-kill, but also develop in all directions. A year later, Han Ju comprehended his mystical powers and soared intent to their limits. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm, he heaved a sigh of relief as the uneasiness in his heart finally dissipated. I knew it. Safety still depended on one's own strength. Read at Wuxia World. EU. After a year of comprehension, Han Ju felt his strength increase greatly. After a year of comprehension, Han Ju felt his strength increase greatly. He began the simulation trial. Against the black and white deities. 1 against 2. The black and white deities were both at the 5th level of the loose immortal realm. At the beginning of the battle, Han Ju directly used 3 pure world cleansing. Millions of sword shadows erupted, attacking the black and white deities until they had nowhere to hide. He killed them instantly. Han Ju was the sword immortal of reincarnation. He could directly kill the existing beings of the 2 realms. Not bad. It was fine as long as he could kill them instantly. He wondered if he could instantly kill Taoist Jian, who was at the 8th level of the loose immortal realm. Thinking of him, Han Ju suddenly felt that he had gotten too complacent. Perhaps the uneasiness did not come from the heavenly court, but Taoist Jian. It was very likely. Han Ju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing him. 6 days after the curse, he was still worried. Should he sacrifice some of his lifespan and curse Taoist Jian to death? He had 1,000,000 years of life, anyway. Han Ju was very tempted by this thought. No. After the first attempt, there would be a second time and countless times ahead. This was just like the in-game transactions of the modern world. This was a trap, a huge trap. Han Ju shook his head and laughed. Then, he started to check his emails. He wondered how the cultivation world was in the past years. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou encountered a fortuitous encounter. With the blessing of a divine beast, his providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by your enemy, Taoist Jian. He is severely injured. Your good friend Ji Lingchan was attacked by your enemy, Taoist Jian. He died. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X76544, your grand disciple Feng Liang dreamed of the heavenly Tao during his cultivation. His cultivation has increased greatly. The latest episodes are on the light novel world.com website. Your Tao companion Xian Qingjun was attacked by demons, X10223. Taoist Juyan. This guy actually descended into the mortal world. Han Ju was shocked. Ji Xianxian was severely injured and Ji Lingchan was directly killed. Could it be that the heavenly immortal manor had been destroyed by Taoist Juyan? No, he had to curse this fellow to death. Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune again and continued cursing Taoist Juyan. Although he could insta-kill the black and white deities, it did not mean that he could insta-kill Taoist Juyan. He might not even win. After all, there was a difference of 3 minor realms between the black and white deities and Taoist Juyan. Far away, the mountains were continuous, and the sky was so beautiful. On a huge peak tens of thousands of feet high, palaces were destroyed one after another. Smoke curled up. Taoist Juyan sat in a broken hull. His face was pale as if he was severely injured. In the corner of the hall, the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manor were trapped in a circle of light, including Ji Xianxian. What happened to him? Injured? Who injured him? It might be Qi deviation. He's a fiendish cultivator, to begin with. He might be harboring demons in his heart and is fighting against them. Sai, what does he want to do with us? Why didn't he kill us? Ji Xianxian's expression darkened. He didn't participate in the discussion. He stared at Taoist Juyan, wishing he could tear him into pieces. Facing Taoist Juyan, he had been utterly defeated. It was even worse than facing Han Ju. The latter had at least held back, but Taoist Juyan did not. Not only had Taoist Juyan defeated him, but he had also trampled on his dignity. Ji Xianxian was waiting for an opportunity. He didn't know why Taoist Juyan did not kill them all, but he knew that this was an opportunity. At this moment. Boom, Taoist Juyan spat out a mouthful of blood, splattering all over the ground. His aura weakened. He clutched his chest and opened his eyes. With a sinister expression, he muttered, "Damn it. Who is it?" He panicked. He was cursed again, and this time, the curse was stronger than before. His dermic powers quickly melted and his lifespan decreased. At this rate, he might die. Taoist Juyan hurriedly cast a spell and called out to the woman in black. Before long, a black vortex appeared in front of him. The woman in black stepped out. "What's the matter? Why are you so panicked?" The black-dressed woman asked impatiently. Her gaze landed on Taoist Juyan as her expression changed slightly. Taoist Juyan began to bleed from his 7 apertures. He was extremely miserable. He gritted his teeth and said, "The curse I mentioned before has begun again. It's stronger than before." The woman in black raised her right hand and pinched her fingers to deduce. However, she couldn't figure out where the curse came from. She had no choice but to stand behind Taoist Juyan. She placed her palms on his back and used her spirit energy to heal him. In less than 5 breaths of time, the black-dressed woman also began to bleed from her 7 apertures. She had no choice but to stop. "No, this curse is too strong," the woman in black said in a low voice. Taoist Juyan was in despair. He hurriedly shouted, "Can you ask a senior for help? Hurry up, I can't hold on anymore." The woman in black hesitated for a moment before taking out a token and probing with her divine sense. The people from the heavenly immortal manor were stunned. Curse? Was someone cursing Taoist Juyan? They were overjoyed. Taoist Juyan was a mighty cultivator who had ascended. To be able to curse him until he was severely injured, it had to be an immortal god. The black-robed woman stared at Taoist Juyan and said, "You have to find a place with the greatest providence to suppress the curse. Otherwise, you won't live until help arrives. Daoist Jian nodded. The two of them immediately stood up and disappeared. As for the people from the heavenly immortal manor, in Daoist Jian's opinion, they couldn't escape at all. The mortal world was the biggest prison. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. Under your curse, your enemy Daoist Jian's lifespan decreased by 500,000 years and he was severely injured. Seeing this email, Han Ju immediately stopped. He wiped the blood from his face and nodded in satisfaction. He had lost nearly 100 years of his lifespan from this curse. Although it was nothing compared to his 1 million years of lifespan, he still felt heartache. Only this time. There will be no next time. Han Ju thought silently and started to heal. Several days later, his injuries recovered and he continued cultivating. His injuries were not considered serious, but Daoist Jian wouldn't recover for decades. A few decades was enough for Han Ju to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. The immortal qi emitted by the Fusang tree was even more abundant than its spirit qi. Han Ju could feel his dermic powers increasing every day. Good times did not last. A month later, Daoist Jian and the black-robed woman arrived. They stood on the clouds and looked at the distant Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. They were surprised. This mountain actually contains immortal qi. How can this be? Daoist Jian was shocked. Before he ascended, he had traveled the world and had never seen such a precious mountain. The black-dressed woman's gaze landed on the peak of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. She saw the Fusang tree. The two fire ravens on the Fusang tree seemed to be. Her eyes widened in shock. Impossible. Two young golden crows. Could this mountain be the territory of the Golden Crow divine clan? She took a deep breath and carefully advanced with Daoist Jian. Currently, only this place could help him suppress the curse. Arriving in front of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, the black-robed woman did not dare to forcefully break the formation. Instead, she cupped her fists and bowed. We apologize for coming uninvited. May I know Senior's name? Murong Qi, Fang Liang, Sun Chang'an, and the others under the Fusang tree opened their eyes. They were stunned to find that they could not see through their cultivation levels. The two little golden crows spread their wings as if they were facing a great enemy. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Daoist Jian, 8th level of the loose immortal realm, rogue cultivator of the immortal world. Daoist Jian, 8th level of the loose immortal realm, rogue cultivator of the immortal world. Yang Yanjun, 9th level of the loose immortal realm, disciple of the dragon immortal island in the immortal world. Seeing the two lines of words in front of him, Han Ju was silent. He was panicking internally. He didn't answer the black-robed woman named Yang Yanjun. Instead, he began to use the simulation trial. Facing Daoist Jian, the guy was insta-killed. Facing Yang Yanjun, he couldn't kill her instantly. This woman actually had a mysterious Dharma treasure that could block Han Ju's attack. Fortunately, a few seconds later, he still killed her with his powerful strength. Han Ju tried to fight against two at once. 10 breaths later, he opened his eyes. No way. He couldn't kill them instantly. With their abilities, it was very likely that they would harm the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. What should he do? Han Ju frowned. Dao Comprehension Sword asked, Master, why are you frowning? Are there enemies outside? Han Ju said softly, stay in the cave abode and don't go anywhere. Han Ju got up and walked out of the cave abode. The other party was already here. He couldn't hide even if he wanted to. Before the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, Daoist Jian and Yang Yanjun were still waiting. Is it really the Golden Crow divine clan? Daoist Jian asked in shock. Yang Yanjun nodded and said, they're indeed golden crows, but they're only at the Mahayana realm. Their potential is average in the Golden Crow Divine Clan, but to be able to take in a Golden Crow with ordinary potential, this person is definitely not a mortal. We should face him cautiously. Taoist Juyan nodded, his eyes filled with hope. What's the matter, fellow Taoists? Han Ju's voice floated out. Taoist Juyan found the voice familiar. He narrowed his eyes and saw Han Ju walking out of the cave abode. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. It was him. Taoist Juyan's face instantly turned sinister. The memories of great sage Green Python before his death were transmitted to him through a special mystical power. This was also the reason why he hated Han Ju. In an instant, Taoist Juyan thought of many possibilities. The person who cursed him was probably Han Ju. Taoist Juyan immediately sent a voice transmission to Yang Yanjun and recounted the hatred of his demon pet. Hearing this, Yang Yanjun was not moved. She smiled at Han Ju and said, "Can you let the two of us stay on the mountain for a while? My fellow Taoist is severely injured and needs to find a place to recuperate." She couldn't see through Han Ju's cultivation and guessed that he was also from the upper world. In addition, this person was really handsome. Taoist Juyan tried his best to control his emotions and did not interrupt. This kid doesn't know of my existence. I can find an opportunity to launch a sneak attack. Taoist Juyan thought silently. Han Ju's voice floated over. This isn't good. There isn't enough space on the mountain. It can't accommodate you two. Yang Yanjun has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 4 stars, 4 stars already. Han Ju cursed silently. This woman looked very polite, but he didn't expect her to be so petty. Yang Yanjun sighed and said, "Fellow Taoist, how can you be so heartless? You're leaving us in the lurch. We're only staying for a while and won't disturb you. Saving a life is better than building a 7-storied pagoda." Taoist 9 cauldrons and a group of elders rushed over. The other party wanted to stay in the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain as soon as they arrived. They were clearly not ordinary people. "Fellow Taoists, which sect are you from?" Taoist 9 cauldrons cupped his fists and asked with a smile. He was very smart and did not go up. He kept his distance from Yang Yanjun and Taoist Juyan. Yang Yanjun glanced at him and then looked at Han Ju again. "Fellow Taoist, you really can't accept us." Although she couldn't see through Han Ju's cultivation, she didn't feel any danger from him. Han Ju's attitude was not firm either. It seemed that he didn't have a powerful background. Yang Yanjun had also asked around before descending into the mortal world. There was no famous deity lurking in this mortal world. With that thought, Yang Yanjun raised her right hand and a flying dagger appeared in her hand. Han Ju narrowed his eyes and asked, "Are you threatening me?" He immediately flashed out of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain and arrived outside the mountain protecting array formation. You can find the rest of this content on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Yang Yanjun narrowed her eyes and smiled. "We have no choice. We have to stay on your mountain for a period of time. I hope that fellow Taoist won't go too." Before she could finish speaking, Han Ju suddenly waved his sleeve. The primordial judgment sword had already appeared in his hand. In an instant, countless sword shadows shot out along the edge of the sword, turning into a black torrent that swept towards her. Yang Yanjun's expression changed drastically. She didn't expect Han Ju to be so decisive. Almost instantly, Yang Yanjun threw the flying dagger. The flying dagger transformed into a 1,000-foot-long saber in front of her, blocking Han Ju's sword shadows. Boom! In the battle of the loose immortals, the pressure shook the world. Even the sky was torn apart as bolts of heavenly lightning appeared. Taoist 9 cauldrons and the elders retreated in fear. Under the Fusang tree, everyone watched nervously. What a terrifying aura! What realm are they at? Cold sweat broke out on Murong-Chi's forehead. He thought that he was already considered an expert, but facing the pressure of Han Ju and Yang Yanjun, he realized how tiny he was. The others were also shocked. Tu Linger looked at Han Ju with glowing eyes. Daoist Juyan was shocked. He didn't expect Han Ju to be so powerful. At this moment, Han Ju suddenly raised his left hand and pointed his index finger at Daoist Juyan. Heaven Earth Mystic Yellow World-Piercing Sword Finger. Swish. Sword chi shot out, sweeping through the sky. Yang Yanjun widened her beautiful eyes and shouted, "How dare you!" Han Ju fought with her and still dared to attack Daoist Juyan. Was he not afraid of offending them? The heavily injured Daoist Juyan did not even have time to react before he was killed by the sword chi. He died. His soul dissipated. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm Han Ju approached Yang Yanjun. He sheathed his sword with his right hand and pointed it at the sky. Sword intent soared into the sky, and a sea of sword chi quickly appeared in the blue sky. It was magnificent and stretched for a few hundred kilometers. "You're dead meat." Yang Yanjun was furious. Her mission was to protect Daoist Juyan, but she didn't expect him to die in front of her. How could she answer to her senior now? She had to kill this person. She would also occupy the precious mountain. Yang Yanjun cast a spell with both hands, and the huge flying dagger shot towards Han Ju. She wanted to interrupt him from using his mystical power. Unexpectedly, Han Ju ignored her flying dagger and continued to use the 3 pure world cleansing. Countless sword shadows condensed from the sea of sword chi. There were millions of them. They soared into the sky and shook the world. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up, dumbfounded. From their vision, the entire sky was filled with sword shadows. This was the first time they had encountered such a scene in their lives. Boom, the huge flying dagger collided with Han Ju. A strong light burst out from his body and forcefully blocked the flying dagger. Grand Unity Supreme Treasure. Yang Yanjun cried out involuntarily. How could this fellow have a Grand Unity Supreme Treasure? Han Ju replied by attacking. Millions of sword shadows swooped down like the sky was collapsing. All the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect felt a strong wind descend from the sky, pressing them to the ground. The mountains shook and the ground cracked. Yang Yanjun quickly cast a spell. Her dermic powers shone around her like a huge ball of light. Boom! 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 Countless sword shadows descended madly, causing the huge ball of light to tremble violently. Yang Yanjun's body also trembled. He's not a loose immortal. Yang Yanjun thought in horror. Oh no! The source of this content is Light Novel World. She couldn't block it. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Han Ju stared at Yang Yanjun. Seeing that she didn't escape, he was overjoyed. Han Ju stared at Yang Yanjun. Seeing that she didn't escape, he was overjoyed. Since you're so bold, don't even think about leaving. Han Ju waved his sword again. The sea of sword chi in the sky condensed countless sword shadows again and attacked Yang Yanjun with the momentum of a collapsing sky. It was unstoppable. Yang Yanjun was shocked and immediately moved. However, at that moment, as soon as her dermic powers dissipated, she was injured by Han Ju's sword chi. She moved dozens of kilometers away, and just as she appeared, she was so angry that a mouthful of blood rushed up to her throat. Boom! Yang Yanjun raised her hand and waved, causing the flying dagger to tear through the air and land in her hand again. Damn it! If not for the heavenly rules, how could I be in such a sorry state? Yang Yanjun cursed angrily. She threw the flying dagger above her head and quickly cast a spell with both hands. Boom! The world trembled as the spirit chi of the land gathered towards her flying dagger, forming a visible airwave. It was a spectacular sight. She had no intention of escaping. She still wanted to fight. Han Ju completely infuriated her. Swish! A piercing sound came. It was the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. Yang Yanjun was already mentally prepared and immediately dodged. Just as she turned around, Han Ju appeared behind her. He used the somersault cloud as a foundation last year to create a grand unity movement technique. He could jump behind the enemy with just one follow-up move. It was extremely precise. Yang Yanjun saw him from the corner of her eye and her pupils widened. Impossible. A black sword chi suddenly erupted and soared into the sky. It was like a brush waving towards the sky, hanging high above the ground. Yang Yanjun's body was directly destroyed by Han Ju's sword chi, leaving only her essence soul in front of him. I'm a disciple of the Dragon Immortal Island. My senior brother is a heavenly general of the heavenly court. Yang Yanjun exclaimed. Just as she finished speaking, she immediately turned around and her essence soul flew away. Han Ju waved his sword, and a million sword shadows came from all directions, directly killing her. She was finally dead. Was the heavenly general very impressive? The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. I'm a descendant of an immortal emperor. Han Ju secretly felt disdain. With things developing to this point, even if he let Yang Yanjun go, it was impossible to end this bad karma. Han Ju raised his left hand and sucked in a storage ring and a flying dagger into his palm. He flew towards the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. Along the way, he did not find Daoist Jian's storage ring. It was probably destroyed by the heaven-earth mystic yellow world-piercing sword finger. After returning to the Fusang tree, everyone immediately surrounded him. Even Xing Hongxian, Fairy Shi Xian, Chang Yuer, and Li Qingzi were there. Master, how's the situation? Who are those two? Grandmaster is too powerful. Need you ask? They're definitely dead. Who in the world can survive against our master? Everyone was very excited. In the past, Han Ju almost always killed his enemies instantly. It was rare for him to fight in such a manner. They couldn't forget the sword shadows that filled the sky and the pressure that made their souls tremble. The three-headed Wirm king was the most shocked. He, who was at the 6th level of the Mahayana realm, was also forced to kneel on the ground. What did that mean? This meant that Han Ju and Yang Yanjun had definitely surpassed the Mahayana realm and were at the immortal realm. Han Ju smiled and said, "It's fine. You can continue cultivating." With that said, he returned to the Khanate cave abode. There was no need to tell others about some things. It would only cause panic. When Daoist 9 Cauldrons saw that the battle had ended, he hurriedly got the elders to comfort the disciples. Today's battle caused the deity-slaying elder's name to shake the sect again. After so many years, many disciples had almost forgotten about the deity-slaying elder. The most excited were the new disciples. They didn't expect the deity-slaying elder to be so terrifying. Inside the Khanate cave abode. As Han Ju started to check Yang Yanjun's storage ring, Dao Comprehension Sword came over curiously. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Platform. Yang Yanjun was indeed from the upper world. She was really rich. She had Dharma treasures, spell scrolls, divine power scrolls, and so on. She had everything she needed and many pills that could help loose immortals cultivate. He had made a killing. Yang San has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 6 stars, Daoist Dan Qing has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars, 2 lines of words appeared in front of Han Ju. He wasn't surprised. To sum it up, there were only 2 words. A loop. After killing the young, the old would come. Was this the cycle of life? Everyone was interconnected in some way. If someone killed Han Ju's disciples, he would definitely take revenge. Moreover, the people of the upper world definitely have a mystical power that could deduce who had killed the person they cared about. Only the two of them had developed hatred towards Han Ju. He felt that it was too small of a number. It seemed that Yang Yanjun was not good with interpersonal relationships. Han Ju pulled out his interpersonal relationships and started to check their information. Yang San, late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal, 8th grade Heavenly General of the Heavenly Court. Because you killed his beloved junior sister Yang Yanjun and his subordinate, Daoist Juyan, who was supposed to be nurtured, he has developed hatred towards you. He won't rest until you're dead. Current hatred points, 6 stars, Daoist Dan Qing, mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal, one of the 7 Taoists of the Dragon Immortal Island. He has developed hatred towards you because you killed his beloved disciple, Yang Yanjun. If you meet, he will definitely kill you. Current hatred points, 3 stars, late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm. Mid-stage Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. Great! They were all very strong. Han Ju forced a smile and panicked internally. However, he noticed that Daoist Dan Qing's message said that if they met, that meant that he would not descend into the mortal world. There was also Yang San. As a heavenly general of Heavenly Court, when it was time to clean up the devils, this fellow would definitely lead the team personally. No. He had to be cursed. Updated from Light Novel World. Han Ju didn't curse immediately. He would curse again after some time to avoid being discovered. Once Yang San and Daoist Dan Qing discovered that Han Ju was cursing them, they would definitely get rid of him as soon as possible. In a bright hall, the stone pillars and decorations shook. A handsome man sat at the head of the table. He wore a loose Daoist robe. At this moment, his face was filled with anger, and the killing intent in his eyes was almost tangible. Junior sister. Yang San gritted his teeth and clenched his fists. His eyes were bloodshot, and his eyeballs were about to turn into blood beads. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have let junior sister go. If I had waited longer, when the Heavenly Court took away the heavenly rules, how would her cultivation level at the early stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm be restricted to the loose Immortal Realm, and how would she die? Yang San muttered in pain. How could he have expected loose immortals to be hidden in the mortal world? It was all Daoist Juyan's fault. This fellow kept urging him to descend into the mortal world, but he ended up dragging his junior sister down with him. Whoever he is, that fellow is so ruthless. He even killed a woman without a second thought. His junior sister had already announced her identity in the end, but he actually did not give them face. Yang San hated Han Ju so much that he wanted to cut him into pieces. When he caught Han Ju, he would let him taste the most painful punishment. No, I have to report this to an immortal official. Yang San immediately stood up and turned into a gust of wind, rushing out of the hall. After killing Yang Yanjun and Daoist Juyan, Han Ju removed Yang Yanjun's flying dagger and gave it to Su Qi. Su Qi happened to lack a powerful Dharma treasure. Han Ju took out Yang Yanjun's pills and continued cultivating. He wanted to break through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm as soon as possible. With his strength, it was very difficult for him to defeat a late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal. A year later, Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing Yang San. From now on, the Vermilion Bird's curse could be delayed. Yang San was his top target. Just as he started cursing, a line of words suddenly appeared in front of him. Qi Yunxian has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 4 stars, visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience, read at Wuxia World. EU. Qi Yunxian. Qi Yunxian. Who? Han Ju was stunned and immediately checked his profile picture. At a glance, Qi Yunxian looked like a mortal. He had a head of crimson hair and he was not handsome, but neither was he ugly. His pupils were green, and it was difficult to tell what race he was. Qi Yunxian, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, 6th grade Immortal Official of the Heavenly Court. He controls the Heavenly Tao in the mortal world. Because Yang San reported you killing Yang Yanjun to the Heavenly Emperor of the Heavenly Court, he is extremely dissatisfied with Yang San. At the same time, he has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars, early stage Grand Unity Heaven Immortal. That was a bit too high. Han Ju was secretly surprised. Cultivation realms were divided into Loose Immortal, Grand Unity Earth Immortal, Grand Unity Heaven Immortal, Grand Unity True Immortal, Grand Unity Mystic Immortal, and Grand Unity Golden Immortal. In other words, Qi Yunxian was stronger than Yang San. He controlled the heavenly Tao of the mortal world. Could he be the heavenly deity of the mortal world that Han Ju was in? If that was the case, Han Ju could understand. Yang San was basically messing with Qi Yunxian's territory. How could he tolerate that? However, this was only Han Ju's guess. If the Heavenly Court really wanted to clean up this mortal world, would a 6th grade immortal official like Qi Yunxian dare to refute? Han Ju stopped thinking and continued cursing Yang San. 6 days later, he ended the curse and started cultivating. No matter what, he had to hurry up and become stronger. 3 years later. Detected that you are 800 years old and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices: 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a supreme treasure. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Cultivate an immortal world and you can obtain a mystical power inheritance. Han Ju looked at the 3 lines of words in despair and did not immediately make a choice. Unknowingly, he was already 800 years old. He couldn't help but feel melancholic. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm life really passed quickly. Han Ju silently chose the second option. You choose not to ascend for the time being and obtain a mystical power inheritance. Congratulations on obtaining mystical power: 3 heads 6 arms, 3 heads 6 arms, manifest a Dharma body with 3 heads and 6 arms. You can use 6 Dharma treasures at the same time. Your physical strength will increase greatly. Han Ju immediately started to inherit the 3 heads 6 arms mystical power. Several days later, he completely grasped the mystical power. When he transformed into 3 heads 6 arms, Tao Comprehension Sword was shocked. Upon learning that this was a mystical power, Tao Comprehension Sword indicated that she also wanted to learn it. Han Ju sized her up and said, "You're so good-looking. Learning it will affect your image." Tao Comprehension Sword was rejected. It was not sad, but rather happy. "I'm good-looking." The next second, she thought of another question. Her image was that of the previous immortal god owner. Did Han Ju like her or the previous owner? With this in mind, Tao Comprehension Sword felt depressed again. Han Ju didn't care about her change in expression and continued cultivating. As Tao Comprehension Sword matured, she also gained human emotions. It was normal for her emotions to change. As the saying went, a woman's heart was as deep as the ocean. Han Ju checked his interpersonal relationships as he cultivated. He was already 800 years old. Fairy Shi Xian was definitely more than 1,000 years old. He didn't know when her lifespan limit would come. Currently, Fairy Shi Xian had already broken through to the 5th level of the soul formation realm. Her progress was not bad, thanks to the spirit chi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain and the opportunities she had encountered. Xing Hongxian and Chang Yuer were still at the nascent soul realm, but they were already close to the soul formation realm. Mo Zhu was already at the soul formation realm. The Mo family was quite something. Li Qingzi was stuck at the 2nd level of the soul formation realm and could not make any progress. His potential was a real problem. Su Qi had already stepped into the void amalgamation realm. The Black Hell Chicken was also at the Void Amalgamation realm, still far from the Body Integration realm. Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the Chaotic Heavenly Dog were still at the Soul Formation realm and were already close to the Void Amalgamation realm. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. Fong Liang and Murong Qi had entered the Void Amalgamation realm one after another. The talent of the third-generation disciples was terrifying. Ever since Tu Linger came to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, she had not broken through to the Body Integration realm, but she was close. The two little golden crows reached the 8th level of the Mahayana realm. The three-headed Wirm king did not make any progress in his cultivation. Han Ju looked at his emails again. Peace had returned to the cultivation world. Ji Xianshan, Huang Jihao, Zhou Fan, and Mo Fuzhou had always been in the top 3 on the list of people attacked. The devils seemed to have stopped. But this made sense. If Han Ju was the devil ancestor, he probably would have given up. 10 years later, Han Ju finally broke through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. From the early stage to the mid-stage, he spent a total of 31 years. To a loose immortal, this speed was definitely considered fast, but Han Ju still felt that it was a little slow. The immortal chi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain was already very dense. In addition, no one was fighting with him for the immortal chi. He enjoyed it alone. Apart from the Fusang tree, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine also began to produce immortal chi. With the addition of the Resurrection Lily, as time passed, the immortal chi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain would continue to increase. After all, the Fusang tree, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine, and the Resurrection Lily had yet to reach maturity. When Tao Comprehension Sword and Sun Chang'an broke through to the loose immortal realm, it might also help increase the immortal chi of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. After breaking through, the first thing Han Ju did was use the simulation trial. 1 against 2, Han Ju instantly killed Daoist Juyan and Yang Yanjun. He was immediately satisfied. He checked on his friends. No one was dead, and Xing Hongxian and the others were not in danger. He continued cultivating. Several months later, Tu Linger came to visit. In the past 10 years, she had gone out to transcend the tribulation and successfully broke through to the Body Integration realm. Han Ju hesitated for a moment but still let her in. Although he didn't like Tu Linger's attitude towards the heavenly immortal manner, there was someone behind her, so he couldn't show too much rejection. After all, Mengpa had given him a reward already. Tu Linger came in front of him and bowed. "Senior, I've already broken through to the Body Integration realm. I obtained an opportunity on the way back and specially came to offer it to you." She took out a palm-sized scale. Han Ju glanced at it and asked, "What's this?" He no longer cared about treasures in the mortal world. "I'm not sure, either. It's precisely because I'm not sure that I feel that it might be very valuable. I still need your help." Tu Lingers placed herself at a very low status. Han Ju took the scale and probed it with his divine sense. He looked surprised. There was a dragon soul hidden in the scale. Furthermore, it was not a mortal soul. It emitted dermic powers. In other words, it was at least a loose immortal. However, this dragon soul was very weak and was nothing to Han Ju. Han Ju took it for the time being and looked at Tu Linger. "You've done well. Senior, as long as you like it." Tu Linger said happily. Han Ju hesitated and said, "From now on, you're my 4th disciple. First disciple Yang Tiandong, second disciple Su Qi, and third disciple Sun Chang'an." Tu Linger said, "I can choose not to be your disciple and be a maid. I can also be like the three-headed Wirm king and guard this mountain." Han Ju frowned. This woman was, after his body. Tu Linger's favorability towards him had already reached 5 stars. As long as he asked, she would offer herself to him. However, Han Ju didn't want to have a complicated relationship with her. After all, this woman was the reincarnation of a grand magus. With the past of the magus race and the current situation, there would definitely be endless trouble in the future. I've made up my mind. You can leave. Han Ju waved his hand. Tu Ling'er could only leave unwillingly. After leaving the cave abode, her eyes turned firm. I won't give up. Visit to Light Novel World. Com discover new novels. At this point, Yang Tiandong and the other two had a new junior sister, one who was stronger than them combined. Read at Wuxia World. EU. After Tu Ling'er left, Han Ju began to observe the dragon's soul in the scale, then used his divine sense to awaken it. After Tu Ling'er left, Han Ju began to observe the dragon's soul in the scale, then used his divine sense to awaken it. Who are you? The dragon's soul asked weakly. Han Ju used his divine sense to communicate with it, asking about its identity and why it had fallen to such a state. The dragon's soul did not hide anything. It was already at its wit's end. It was already very difficult for anyone to discover it. This dragon's soul came from the true dragon race of the upper world. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, the mortal world had just been created. He descended into the mortal world to travel, but in the end, he encountered a battle and died. Only a remnant soul survived. In order to prevent being discovered by the enemy, the dragon's soul hid in a snake scale. It wanted to attach itself to a demon beast and absorb its spirit energy to nourish the remnant soul. Unfortunately, after hundreds of thousands of years, this scale was mostly buried in the ground. In order to reduce the consumption of the soul, he could only fall asleep. If you save me, I will definitely repay you, the dragon's soul continued. Han Ju agreed immediately. Alright, I'll think of a way to save you. Nourish my soul with your immortal power every day. You can save me if you persist. Alright. Thank you. It's fine. Han Ju agreed on the surface but was very dissatisfied inside. I promised to save you. Why didn't you show any favorability? Han Ju tried to use his immortal power to nourish the dragon's soul. After 2 hours, this guy still did not have a good impression of him. Han Ju directly cut off his immortal power. Why did you stop? The dragon's soul cried out from within the scale. Yuan Huanglong has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars, the heck. 2 stars of hatred just like that. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Han Ju wanted to scold him, but he still carefully checked Yuan Huanglong's information. Abyssal Yellow Dragon, Mid-Stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal from the true dragon race. He has a treacherous and petty personality. He once offended Qi Yunxian and was killed. Because he was dissatisfied with you stopping the immortal power to nourish his remnant soul, he developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. When Han Ju saw this, he realized that it was Qi Yunxian who had killed him. In this case, he didn't have to worry about offending the true dragon race. Han Ju immediately probed the scale with his divine sense and wiped away the consciousness of the dragon soul, leaving only an unconscious remnant soul. Devouring remnant souls could strengthen the soul. This was also one of the reasons why possession was so popular. Some mighty figures were able to prosper because they had been possessed by a mighty figure when they were young. In the end, the possessor had suffered a backlash and the host inherited the memories of the mighty figure. Their souls had transformed, allowing them to soar. There were many such cases. Han Ju didn't devour the dragon soul but kept it. When the 3-headed Wirm king performed well, he would give it to him. He checked his interpersonal relationships and discovered that Yuan Huanglong's portrait was gone. It meant that he was really dead. Completely relieved, Han Ju started cultivating. Dao Comprehension Sword was confused. From her point of view, Han Ju had been changing his expression while holding the scale. His emotions were changing and he was extremely strange. However, she did not ask. This wasn't the first time Han Ju did this. 4 years later, Fang Liang and Murong Qi went out to train. The others were still cultivating under the Fusang tree. That day, late at night, in the middle of cultivating, Han Ju suddenly felt a powerful divine sense attack. He subconsciously opened his eyes and discovered that his consciousness had arrived in a vast sea of stars. The universe was dark and dotted with millions of stars, looking extremely beautiful. In front of Han Ju was a figure surrounded by red clouds. Han Ju recognized him immediately. Qi Yunxian. Qi Yunxian sized him up with a smile and asked, "Aren't you afraid?" Han Ju said, "If you want to kill me, it's useless even if I'm afraid." As expected of someone who dares to offend the heavenly general. "You have already become a loose immortal. Why didn't you ascend?" "I offended Vermilion Bird and was afraid that he would wait for me. I can secretly send you to the heavenly court to become a heavenly soldier. The Vermilion Bird you offended should be the Zhu Dou's father. Back then, when the Vermilion Bird descended into the mortal world, he didn't give me face. I'm also unhappy with him. I can protect you." Qi Yunxian smiled. His attitude surprised Han Ju. In his opinion, immortals shouldn't be too straightforward. They were all shrewd and didn't easily fall out with each other. Entering the heavenly court as a heavenly soldier, Han Ju was a little resistant. As a soldier, how could he live in seclusion? Besides, the heavenly court would be attacked by demon saints. There would be too much trouble. Han Ju asked, "May I know your identity?" Qi Yunxian stroked his beard and smiled. "The mortal world you live in is controlled by me, Qi Yunxian. I mainly control the heavenly Tao to prevent any mistakes in the heavenly rules. I can't interfere with matters in the mortal world, but promoting you to the heavenly court is a piece of cake." Han Ju continued to ask, "I heard that the heavenly court wants to clean up the mortal world. Is this true?" Qi Yunxian's expression darkened. "Who told you that?" "To be honest, I know a senior in the Sword Dao River." "The Sword Dao River? Could it be that? I didn't expect you to be a genius in the Sword Dao. My mortal world is indeed filled with providence. No wonder the devils have been plotting. Qi Yunxian's favorability towards you has increased. Current favorability, 3/5 stars, Han Ju was secretly pleased. Follow new episodes on the light novel world. Com platform. I have quite the reputation. Qi Yunxian said seriously, "To be honest, the heavenly court has indeed placed the mortal world you are in on the list of important assessments. This world is very likely to be cleaned up. At that time, all living beings will be annihilated and the heavenly Tao of this world will no longer exist. I will also be transferred out of my immortal position and become the immortal official of another location. That's why I came to find you. No matter what, you're still a mortal that came out from under me. I'm willing to help you." Han Ju frowned and said, "Can I bring my disciples along?" Qi Yunxian shook his head and said, "I'm afraid not. Their cultivation levels are weak. Even if they go to the heavenly court, they won't be able to withstand the immortal Qi pressure. Besides, it's against the rules for mortals to enter the heavenly court. I can only bring you into the heavenly court. If the Vermilion Bird causes trouble for you outside, I can't do anything about it." Han Ju frowned even more. Qi Yunxian sighed and said, "The devils have invaded too deeply. In addition, as a heavenly general, Yan San has been writing letters. Although my immortal position is higher than his, in the eyes of the heavenly court and the heavenly emperor, literature is inferior to martial arts. It's also my fault. I cultivate in seclusion all year round and neglected my jurisdiction in the mortal world." Han Ju asked, "There are still devils in the mortal world?" "Yes, there are many descendants of the devil race. They're even hidden in the righteous sects and families. They don't have any demonic nature and are only the remnant bloodline of the devil race. If they're all killed, the world will probably be in chaos. As a heavenly Tao immortal official, I cannot personally attack the lifeforms under me. Otherwise, I will suffer a backlash from the heavenly Tao and can only be executed by the heavenly troops. Qi Yunxian's words made Han Ju think of the Mo family. He didn't expect that there were many families like the Mo family. The devils had many tricks up their sleeves. Actually, there's a way. Qi Yunxian suddenly smiled. Han Ju asked, what way? Kill all the incoming heavenly troops. Qi Yunxian's words were shocking. Han Ju looked at him in surprise. Could this fellow be a traitor? Qi Yunxian said, this is my divine sense world. No one can see through our conversation. In fact, although the heavenly court is the land of immortals and gods that controls the other worlds, there are countless enemies. If you kill all the heavenly soldiers and generals to prove your potential, the heavenly court might recruit you. After the divine palace and Buddhist sect rose, the heavenly court started yearning for powerful prodigies, especially those who come from the mortal world. They don't have a powerful background, but they can slaughter immortals and gods. Such potential is enough to make the heavenly court go mad. 1,000,000 years ago, the heavenly court's divine general slaughtered his way out. Before he ascended, he slaughtered all the immortals who had descended into the mortal world. It shocked the heavenly court. Now, he's the strongest existence among the heavenly generals. He's also the most illustrious immortal in the heavenly court. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Read at Wuxia World. EU. Kill the heavenly soldiers and generals before waiting for the heavenly court to recruit me. Kill the heavenly soldiers and generals before waiting for the heavenly court to recruit me. Han Ju looked at Qi Yunxian with a strange expression. Was he serious? Then, he suddenly thought of a story. The Monkey King Sun Wukong story. Sun Wukong had a powerful background, but Han Ju did not. This was too dangerous. I can't do it. Qi Yunxian smiled and said, if you don't dare and want to live, you can only follow me into the heavenly court. Han Ju asked, is there really no other way? No. That's the only way you can save your disciples. When will the heavenly court clean up the mortal world? In a few hundred years, or 1,000 years at most. Let me think about it. Qi Yunxian waved his sleeve, and the surrounding sea of stars instantly shattered. Han Ju's consciousness returned to his body. Han Ju opened his eyes and rubbed his chin in thought. He had to ask his good brother about this. Han Ju immediately comprehended the Sword Dao. 10 days later, he entered the Sword Dao River. It was like returning home. He found Zhang Guxing and asked about the divine general. As for Qi Yunxian, he didn't sell him out. Qi Yunxian had already done his best by telling him so much. If Han Ju still snitched, would he still be human? This could also offend him. Zhang Guxing said in a low voice, you want to imitate the divine general of the heavenly court. The heavenly emperor does have such a bad habit of praising the strong and bullying the weak. Many heavenly generals in the heavenly court were once enemies of the heavenly court. The heavenly emperor saw that their potential was not bad and let bygones be bygones. He even rewarded them greatly. You can take this path if you want. If you can enter the eyes of the heavenly emperor, the vermilion bird won't dare to do anything to you. Updated from Light Novel World. Although the heavenly court is wary of the vermilion bird race, they are more concerned about the prodigies. The heavenly emperor once offended the Buddhists for the divine general and almost caused a war in the immortal world. However, it's difficult to take this path. Besides, you don't have that much time. Han Ju sighed and said, I can only try. If it really doesn't work, I can only run. If he couldn't win, he would jump to the netherworld. If the heavenly court asked the netherworld to hunt him down, he would jump to another world. There was always a place to hide. TSK, if you really succeed, your future will be bright. Although the heavenly court has been in constant trouble recently, it is still the force with the strongest foundation in the upper world. It represents the heavenly Tao. Zhang Guxing smiled and wondered internally, who told Han Ju about this? This person is truly daring. Han Ju sighed. What wrong have most living beings in the mortal world done? They have to face the consequences of being slaughtered. The heavenly troops risk their lives for the heavenly court, but in front of potential, they are all ants. This seemingly great power also has many problems behind it. How could those who believed in immortals know that immortals were only powerful people? The so-called immortals are all lies. Zhang Guxing shook his head. Han Ju didn't say much. After knowing that this method was feasible, he left. After Han Ju left the Sword Dao River, a purple figure appeared beside Zhang Guxing. Is this the mortal you like? The purple figure asked. Zhang Guxing replied, yes, he's only 800 years old. The purple figure teased. He's not immortal. What? He has the providence of an immortal emperor on him. He's probably a descendant of an immortal emperor or has received the favor of one. Immortal emperor? I see. Then his future is even more worth looking forward to. What did you expect? You want him to replace you? Let's wait for him to survive this. Let's not talk about him. The Divine Palace asked me to invite you. Are you willing to return? Your true body is still being nurtured in the Divine Palace. They have never truly given up on you. The situation in the Divine Palace is too troublesome. I don't want to return. It's good to be here. I have nothing to worry about. I don't have to think about anything else when comprehending the Sword Dao. If my eternal life is like this, I'll be satisfied. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju consolidated his newly comprehended Sword Dao. Several days later, he started cultivating again. The mid-stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm was not enough. While Han Ju was cultivating in seclusion, the cultivation world was in chaos. The heavenly immortal manor was slaughtered by Daoist Juyan. More than half of them were dead or injured. Many years had passed since this incident. The other holy lands sensed hope and took the opportunity to develop. The fiends even gathered their forces to continue attacking the manor. Although the heavenly immortal manor was suffering, most of the cultivation world was peaceful, no different from the past. Daoist 9 cauldrons began to go out again. He went everywhere to recruit guest elders and new disciples with outstanding cultivation potential. 7 years later. Li Qingzi couldn't take it anymore. His lifespan was up. He came to visit Han Ju. Elder Han, I might not be able to last for many years. The treasures in the sect can no longer increase my lifespan. I plan to go out and adventure for a few years. I might die outside like my master. Li Qingzi smiled. He wasn't sad. Instead, he felt relieved. Han Ju asked, do you have any unfulfilled wishes? Li Qingzi's smile vanished as he said seriously, before you ascend, protect the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and my junior sister, Fairy Shi Xian. Han Ju nodded. Li Qingzi started to talk to him about the past and recounted his life. Han Ju listened carefully. Dao Comprehension Sword was also entranced. Li Qingzi's life might not be a legend. From being chosen by the Grand Elder to running around for the sect, he recounted everything calmly. Han Ju didn't feel sad, but he did feel a little emotional. It was good that he was dying. He could get a better potential in his next life and pursue the great Tao. Apart from longevity, he had obtained all the fame, power, and women that most people wanted to pursue. He had no regrets in this life. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. He only left the next day. Han Ju stood up and sent him out. Li Qingzi had already visited Fairy Shi Xian, Taoist 9 Cauldrons, and other old friends. Han Ju was placed last. The person who had the greatest impact on him in his life might not be Han Ju, but Li Qingzi felt that he should be the one to thank the most. Looking at Li Qingzi flying towards the sky, Han Ju stood at the edge of the cliff and watched quietly with a calm expression. The black hell chicken didn't joke. Instead, it came to his side and asked, "Master, from now on, do we not have to run?" Although Han Ju kept saying that he would escape, the black hell chicken had been here since he could remember. "Not necessarily," Han Ju replied. Li Qingzi's departure did not cause a stir in the sect. After so many years, many people had forgotten about him. "If we can meet in the next life, I will give you an opportunity." Han Ju chuckled and turned around. It was normal for people to leave each other. Besides, Li Qingzi didn't die with hatred. 4 years later, Han Ju saw an email. "Your good friend Li Qingzi's lifespan has reached its end. He has died and fallen into the cycle of reincarnation." Han Ju only sighed softly and continued cultivating. After Li Qingzi's death, Han Ju's mental state was elevated. 23 years later, Han Ju broke through to the late stage of the reincarnation loose immortal realm. He stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse Yang San, Vermilion Bird, and Taoist Dan Qing. On this day, you can find the rest of this content on the Light Novel World .com platform. The sky changed violently. An immeasurable black crack appeared above the sea of clouds. When the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect saw this, they all panicked. This was heaven collapsing? Read at Wuxia World. EU. What's that? What's that? The sky split open. Is the demonic path attacking? Everyone, be careful. Something's wrong. There's no demonic chi or demonic aura. How long is this crack? The disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect looked up at the crack in the sky and exclaimed. Cultivating in the cave abode, Han Ju also sensed the abnormality outside. He extended his divine sense and saw a spectacular and terrifying phenomenon in the sky. He immediately checked the cultivators in the sect. According to their cultivation levels, they didn't find any enemies. He stood up and walked out of the cave abode. Dao Comprehension Sword followed closely behind. Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong, and the others came over. Master, where did this heavenly phenomenon come from? Enemy attack? Yang Tiandong asked. Han Ju looked up at the sky with narrowed eyes. He saw nothing. Before long, the crack in the sky disappeared, and the sky returned to normal. It was beautiful and magnificent as if the previous phenomenon was only an illusion. Since it wasn't an enemy attack, Han Ju was relieved. He was really afraid that the heavenly court would attack at this moment. With his current cultivation level, how could he block the heavenly troops? Demon Saint, you have to persist. Han Ju thought silently. Then, he walked to the Fusang tree and began to develop the Fusang tree and the earth immortal gourd vine. Not bad. The Fusang tree was almost 1,000 feet tall now. The earth immortal gourd vine was like a snake coiling around the main trunk. The 2 golden crows also built their nests and cultivated quietly. As time passed, they became less intimate and no longer squeezed together. What was worth mentioning was that perhaps due to the influence of the black hell chicken, the 2 golden crows had also become sharp-tongued. They often mocked others, especially the chaotic heavenly dog and the 3-headed Wirm king. Updated from Light Novel World. Calm, Master, I want to go back to the heavenly immortal manor and take a look. I'll be back soon. Tu Linger walked to Han Ju's side and said carefully. Would Master think that she was running away? Han Ju replied, Go. He wasn't worried about Tu Linger at all. So be it if she leaves. When Tu Ling'er heard that, she immediately heaved a sigh of relief and said, "Don't worry, master. I'll definitely return as soon as possible. No need for that." Tu Ling'er thought that her master did not want her to tire herself out, so she didn't think too much about it. After she left, Han Ju checked his emails. After so many years, it was unknown if the cultivation world was peaceful. Your good friend Mo Fuzhou was attacked by righteous cultivators, X2993. Your good friend Zhou Fan has joined the 5 immortal mountains and has become the disciple of a land deity. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Huang Jihao was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, X84333. Your good friend Huang Jihao was severely injured and his life was hanging by a thread. Fortunately, a mighty figure saved him. Your grand disciple Fang Liang has left the mortal world. Your grand disciple Murong Qi has awakened the mystical power of his previous life. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianchen has cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body. He has torn apart the sky and shocked the world. Zhou Fan, Huang Jihao, Fang Liang, Murong Qi, and Ji Xianchen each had their own fortuitous encounters. They could be called the 5 main characters. Han Ju checked Fang Liang's profile. It was still there, which meant that he didn't die and had only left this mortal world. In the decades that Han Ju had cultivated, they had their own excitement and opportunities. Han Ju read for a while before returning to the Khanate cave abode and continued cultivating. Several months later, an old friend came to visit. West Abyss State 9 Dragon Sect Master, Wei Yuan. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. His true identity was the sect master of the Raincoat sect, Huang Zuantian. If Han Ju hadn't given Huang Zuantian a chance, he would have died long ago. It was even more impossible for him to possess Wei Yuan and become the 9 Dragon sect master, who was stronger than the Raincoat sect. Huang Zuantian found Taoist 9 cauldrons and explained his intentions. He was surrendering. Taoist 9 cauldrons was shocked. The Jade Pure Sacred sect had never targeted the 9 Dragon sect. Why did this sect master surrender? Was he in trouble? Previously, the Blood Fire Heavenly sect couldn't defeat the Formless sect, so they joined the Jade Pure Sacred sect. After some communication, Taoist 9 cauldrons finally believed that the 9 Dragons sect really wanted to join them. Being cautious, Taoist 9 cauldrons said that he wanted to discuss with the elders and let Huang Zuantian be a guest for a period of time. Huang Zuantian had no objections and went to visit Han Ju. Han Ju let him in. After entering the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, Huang Zuantian was shocked. The spirit qi here was too. Seeing Yang Tiandong, Sun Chang'an, and the others, Huang Zuantian had a strong urge. He wanted to be Han Ju's slave. Huang Zuantian was very excited to see Han Ju again. He was currently at the 2nd level of the Void Amalgamation realm. Compared to hundreds of years ago, he had only broken through by 1 minor realm. Han Ju changed the topic and asked, "How have you been all these years?" Back then, Huang Zuantian had saved Yang Tiandong and the chaotic heavenly dog and had even been severely injured. He had always remembered this. Huang Zuantian saw his smile and was no longer nervous. He began to describe his experiences over the years. Dao Comprehension Sword listened quietly. After listening for a long time, Han Ju finally understood his intentions. Huang Zuantian couldn't withstand the pressure of the 9 Dragon sect. He no longer wanted to be the sect master and wanted to focus on cultivation. If you want to move to my side, you have to make contributions. When the 9 Dragon sect joins the Jade Pure Sacred sect, you have to make contributions to our sect. When you become a respected senior in the sect, I will allow you to move in, Han Ju muttered. Huang Zuantian was overjoyed and immediately agreed. Visit Light Novel World. Calm for a better experience. The two of them chatted for a while more before Huang Zuantian left. Han Ju fell into deep thought. As the spirit chi of the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain became denser, it would attract more people in the future. He had to control the scale to prevent the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain from being crowded and thinning the spirit chi. It would be good if I can attract more people with great providence. At that time, I won't teach them personally and let the disciples do it. Han Ju thought silently. He didn't have connections all over the world, but he could create them. When the powerful Monkey King embarked on the journey to the west, he still had to rely on his connections in the heavenly court to overcome all obstacles. Of course, all of this had to happen without affecting Han Ju's cultivation progress. Above the sea of clouds, countless bolts of lightning struck the same spot. It was a person. Ji Xianchen. Ji Xianchen sat in the air. His body was surrounded by lightning. His black hair twisted around like a group of snakes. At this moment it was as if he was possessed by an immortal. He exuded an unparalleled aura. In the distance, more than 10 figures stood on a cloud. They were all the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner. Unbelievable. He really cultivated the azure thunder sacred body. He can be considered to have surpassed all the past geniuses of the heavenly immortal manner. He's unprecedented. What a terrifying aura. Even a Mahayana realm cultivator can't withstand a single strike from him. The #1 cultivator in the world. I wonder when he will choose to ascend. As the upper echelons of the heavenly immortal manner were still discussing, a huge eye appeared in the thundercloud above Ji Xianchen's head, looking down at him. At the same time, in another area of the sky, a rolling sea of clouds formed on the ground. 2 majestic stone pillars stood erect, with 2 white dragons wrapped around each pillar. Below them, 2 rows of silver-armored heavenly soldiers stood, looking extraordinarily mighty. At the top of the 2 stone pillars was a golden jade plaque with 3 words carved on it. East Heavenly Gate. A bolt of lightning pierced through the sea of clouds and shot towards the plaque. Updated from Light Novel World. A heavenly soldier immediately brandished his spear and dispersed it. Read at Wuxia World. EU. The sudden lightning shocked the heavenly troops. The sudden lightning shocked the heavenly troops. They thought that it was an enemy attack and immediately reported it to the heavenly generals. Then, they began to investigate where the lightning came from. In next to no time, a heavenly general wearing heavy silver armor and a crown made of phoenix wings and beads rushed over with a large blade. This heavenly general had a dignified appearance and his eyes were like torches. He was awe-inspiring even without showing emotions. Where did the lightning come from? The heavenly general asked in a low voice. A heavenly soldier replied, from a mortal world. A mortal world? The heavenly general became interested. He took a few steps forward and took out a mirror. He looked down and used his left hand to cast a spell on the back of the mirror. The mirror shone and shot into the sea of clouds. Before long, the light vanished. The heavenly general raised the mirror and saw the scene of Ji Xianchen transcending the tribulation. Such a prodigy has appeared in the mortal world again. To be able to shake the heavenly rules, he's truly impressive. The heavenly general muttered as his eyes lit up. He had to take this kid under his wing. 30 years later, Han Ju successfully broke through to the perfected reincarnation loose immortal realm. This speed of breakthrough was not much slower than before the loose immortal realm. It could even be said to be about the same. In the past, he could break through a major realm in about 100 years. Now, it was about the same. After breaking through, Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to do his daily missions. Every 10 years, he would curse once to prevent his enemies from living too comfortably. While cursing, he checked his emails. Your disciple Tu Linger was attacked by demon beasts, X10489, your disciple Tu Linger was attacked by a demon king and was severely injured. At the critical moment, she activated the soul power of a grand magus. Your grand disciple Fang Liang has returned to the mortal world. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Ji Xianxian received a dream from an immortal god. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Zhou Fan has comprehended an ancient mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Lu Bumi was attacked by a sinister demon and was severely injured. Your grand disciple Fang Liang sacrificed himself to save the saintess of the demon race who had transformed into a fish. His cultivation has increased greatly. For more, visit Light Novel World. Calm. Was this the terminal lucidity of the heavenly Tao? How terrifying! Han Ju couldn't help but retort internally. Many people obtained opportunities. Han Ju noticed that Lu Bumi was attacked by demons. The current Lu Bumi was the elder of discipline of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect and had a special status. He checked his profile. It was still there, which meant that he was fine. Han Ju continued cursing. Half a month later, he began to cultivate the 6 paths of reincarnation technique and prepared to break through to the earth immortal realm. He placed the heaven-evading stone at his waist. The closer the stone was to him, the safer he felt. He wondered how long the heaven-evading stone could let him stay in the mortal world. The immortal chi of the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain surged towards him. A whirlwind formed in the cave abode, preventing Tao comprehension soared from cultivating in peace. Han Ju let Tao comprehension soared out. This time, he had to break through to the earth immortal realm. Under the blue sky, the sea was vast. On the beach, Fang Liang sat on the reef and looked at the sky, lost in thought. He was no longer the youth from before. He had matured and his shoulders had broadened. A graceful woman in black walked out of the forest behind him. She had a beautiful face and a pair of beast ears on her head. Walking to Fang Liang's side and sitting down, she said softly, "Liang, what do you plan to do next?" Fang Liang came back to his senses and said, "I want to go back and see my grandmaster." "Why? Didn't you say you were going to ask my father for my hand in marriage? This matter needs my grandmaster's approval." "Oh. You were raised by your grandmaster?" "No. But without my grandmaster, I wouldn't be who I am today." "I'll go with you." "You can go back first. Once my grandmaster agrees, I'll immediately propose a marriage." The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm, what if your grandmaster doesn't agree? He will. Don't worry. My grandmaster doesn't like to interfere in our private affairs. I just feel that we have to inform him first. This is respect. Fine. The woman in black frowned, but she still agreed. Fang Liang stood up and said, "That's all. See you next time." The woman in black responded and watched him leave. "Humph, this is the kid you like. Although his potential isn't bad, he's already so old, yet he still listens to his grandmaster. Could it be that his grandmaster is a Mahayana cultivator?" A rough and imposing voice sounded in the black-robed woman's ears. The woman in black said coquettishly, "Isn't that good? He's very filial. The relationship between humans and demons is hard to say. If his grandmaster objects. No. Liang won't give up on me. Then let's wait and see." 2 years later. Han Ju finally broke through. Name, Han Ju, lifespan, 873/5,761,200, race, immortal, cultivation, early stage of the reincarnation earth immortal realm. Looking at his attributes panel, Han Ju was very excited. 7 million years of lifespan. This was true longevity. Han Ju's dermic powers continued to increase and his divine sense also strengthened. After stepping into the earth immortal realm, all his senses had transformed. The world had become different in his eyes. "I can't be proud. This cultivation is nothing. Han Ju thought silently. After breaking through, he still had to hurry up and cultivate. Half a year later, Han Ju completely consolidated his Earth Immortal Realm dermic powers. To celebrate this matter, he took out the Book of Misfortune and began grinding his daily missions. After cursing, he called Dao Comprehension Sword back in and continued cultivating. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, "Master, you broke through again?" She was also becoming stronger, but Han Ju was becoming more and more unfathomable in her eyes. "Yes," Han Ju replied casually. Dao Comprehension Sword continued, "Sun Chang'an wants to talk to you, but he doesn't dare." Hearing this, Han Ju opened his eyes and asked, "What is it?" "He wants to find Miss Chenner's reincarnation." During this period of time, he didn't cultivate. He sat under the Fusang tree as if he had lost his soul. Dao Comprehension Sword shook her head. She couldn't understand Sun Chang'an's state. Did he have to be this obsessed with that woman? Han Ju remained silent. Was the curse of the divine Buddha so terrifying? The heartless flying sword couldn't make Sun Chang'an completely forget her. Forget it. Let Chi'er accompany his master. It's a good opportunity to train him, Han Ju said. Murong Chi had already returned and was cultivating under the Fusang tree. Dao Comprehension Sword immediately stood up to pass the message. Originally distracted, Sun Chang'an immediately got up excitedly and kowtowed to the Khanate cave abode. Murong Chi curled his lips and said, "I'll protect my master." Sun Chang'an glared at him and said angrily, "What? You don't acknowledge me as your master?" "No, I just feel that you've nothing better to do. There are many women in the world, but you insist on pursuing one." "Humph, you don't understand. The most sincere, pure, and sacred thing in the world is love. Can love not break through the obstacle of appearance?" Not far away, Yang Tiandong was envious. This ugly monk was really lucky to have such a powerful disciple accompanying him. If he had such a powerful disciple, why would he worry about not becoming a demon king and having immense power? Updated from Light Novel World. Calm perfect. After he leaves, if master wants to take in a new disciple, I can become a master too. Yang Tiandong thought happily. He was too envious of Murong Chi and Fong Liang. Their talent was too ridiculous. After Murong Chi left with Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong found Han Ju and expressed his intention. After Murong Chi left with Sun Chang'an, Yang Tiandong found Han Ju and expressed his intention. Han Ju was caught between laughter and tears. There were actually people fighting to take in disciples. Don't tell me you want to take in a disciple to be your henchman and fight for the territory of the demons? Han Ju asked with a faint smile. Yang Tiandong was immediately embarrassed when he was seen through. He hurriedly waved his hand and said, "How is that possible?" Han Ju snorted. "We'll see in the future. There aren't any good seedlings now. When I take in disciples, it has to depend on their aptitude. You better not go around taking in some trash." "Hee, of course. I'm also afraid of trouble. Get lost. You haven't even reached the void amalgamation realm. I'm afraid you'll become the weakest disciple under me." "All right." Yang Tiandong left dejectedly. His cultivation level was indeed at the bottom. Fortunately, Sun Chang'an was still accompanying him. Dao Comprehension Sword suddenly said, "Master, when can you arrange a disciple for me? It seemed fun to take care of a disciple. Do you want a male or female disciple?" Han Ju asked with a smile. Dao Comprehension Sword chuckled. "A female disciple, of course. You have too many male disciples under you. I'm used to it. However, there are fewer female disciples. Linga usually focuses on cultivating and doesn't like to chat with me. You should be cultivating. Why chat?" "No, I'm not saying that I like." "Alright, We'll talk about this when you reach the Mahayana realm. Dao Comprehension Sword curled her lips, feeling wronged. Han Ju liked to see her aggrieved look. She had the face of a cold goddess, but she looked like a little woman who had been wronged. She was actually quite cute. I'll let you take care of the next female disciple. Thank you, Master. Dao Comprehension Sword immediately smiled like a flower. Han Ju felt like he was teasing a child. Sigh. This content is taken from Light Novel World. I'm getting old. For some reason, Han Ju felt that he was not as cold-hearted as before. He had to consolidate his Dao heart. Han Ju immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing. 3 years later. When Fang Liang returned, he visited Han Ju anxiously. Arriving in front of Han Ju, he knelt down. He first bowed, then went straight to the point to tell him the story of him and the saintess of the demon race. By chance, he saw a fish churning by the river. He walked over and placed the fish in the river, but he didn't expect to obtain the favor of the saintess. This saintess was severely injured by the enemy and could only hide in the form of a fish. Seeing that the fish had been following him, Fang Liang felt that it was sentient and put it in a bamboo basket. After discovering that the fish was extraordinary and was injured, Fang Liang used his spirit energy to treat it. Han Ju listened with relish. Fang Liang asked uneasily, "Grandmaster, can I marry her?" Han Ju said, "If you really like her, there's naturally no problem. However, you can't let a woman delay your cultivation. Your goal is to become an immortal and not live a mortal life." Fang Liang heaved a sigh of relief. I understand. Actually, he was also a little confused. However, it was his first time encountering love. The other party was too fierce, causing him to be led by the nose. For some reason, he felt that marrying and having children was not the life he should have. His target was to be like Han Ju. He wanted to live like his grandmaster. After Fang Liang left, Han Ju didn't think too much about it. In his opinion, this was a calamity that Fang Liang had to face. If he couldn't see through the mortal world, how could he see through the great Tao? Han Ju had also fallen in love before, but that was in his previous life. If a guy and a girl got together, they would only end up in trouble. Visit Light Novel World. For a better experience. After entering the reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm, Han Ju continued cultivating and strove to break through to the Heaven Immortal Realm as soon as possible. According to Zhang Guxing, a Heaven Immortal might appear to clean up the mortal world. Han Ju was only an Earth Immortal and was not safe enough. When he was alone, the cultivation world was still bustling with heroes. Ji Xianxian of the Heavenly Immortal Manor began to slaughter fiendish cultivators everywhere. At the same time, he challenged the experts of the other holy lands and never lost. He stirred up an invincible wind. A mighty figure sighed. Geniuses should be like immortals. This sentence made the other geniuses follow suit. Instantly, the various sects in the world began to encounter the challenges of the geniuses. It was the same for the Jade Pure Sacred sect. Fortunately, they could handle it themselves. Xiao Yao used his powerful strength to suppress several geniuses. This old blind man was indeed worthy of being the #1 genius of the Heavenly Immortal Manor 5,000 years ago. Time flew. 7 years later. Ji Xianxian came again. Fellow Taoist Guan, come out and have a gathering. This time, it's not a battle, but catching up. I have a fortuitous encounter for you. Ji Xianxian's tone was a little cheerful. It was obvious that he was in a good mood. Han Ju hesitated for a moment but still stood up to see him. It was still that familiar forest. When he saw Han Ju again, Ji Xianxian still couldn't see through him. How strong is this fellow? Ji Xianxian cursed silently. He was already at the 8th level of the Mahayana realm and had cultivated the Azure Thunder sacred body, but he still couldn't see through Han Ju's cultivation level. Fortunately, he wasn't arrogant this time. Otherwise, he would be embarrassed again. What is it? Han Ju asked. Opportunity. Was he going to hand over a gift? Did he want to acknowledge him as his master? Han Ju found Ji Xianqian more and more pleasing to the eye. As long as they gave him a gift, they were good people. Ji Xianqian coughed and said, I obtained a dream from an immortal god. He came from the heavenly court of the upper world. He's a heavenly general who is willing to accept me. At that time, if I ascend, I will become a member of the heavenly court. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. That's it. Han Ju frowned and felt dissatisfied. So you're showing off to me. Your strength is not bad. I can bring you along. When the time comes, you and I can fuse our swords and become the two strongest war gods of the heavenly court. How about that? Ji Xianqian asked with a burning gaze. If he couldn't defeat him, he would invite him. Han Ju frowned and said, Are you going to be a dog for the heavenly court? When Ji Xianqian heard this, his expression instantly darkened. He said in a low voice, What do you mean? He had good intentions, but in the end, he was scolded. If not for the fact that he couldn't win, he would have attacked. You don't know that the heavenly court might want to clean up the mortal world? As a genius of the heavenly immortal manner, can you tolerate your hometown being slaughtered? Han Ju said bluntly. Ji Xianqian frowned. The heavenly immortal manor had also received information from the seniors of the upper world. They were the mighty figures of the heavenly immortal manor who had ascended previously, asking them to ascend quickly. Ji Xianqian also learned of this matter, so after receiving the heavenly general's invitation, he was very happy. What can I do? I can't change the heavenly court's decision. Ji Xianqian suppressed his anger. Han Ju said expressionlessly, If the heavens want to destroy our human race, we cultivators should overthrow the heavens. If you don't even have such a backbone, what will the heavenly court think of you there? When those immortals learn that your hometown has been slaughtered and you were indifferent about it, what will they think of you? Ji Xianqian's heart ached. He was born with an invincible heart. Han Ju's words aroused his arrogance. I want to be the strongest immortal god. If I bow my head now, what about in the future? Keep bowing down. Ji Xianqian clenched his fists and gritted his teeth. Can the two of us overthrow the heavenly court? Han Ju said calmly, We can't overthrow it, but we will kill as many as they come. We can show our strength and let the heavenly court give up clearing the world for us. These words made Ji Xianqian's blood boil. Why hadn't he thought of this before? Could this be the reason why Han Ju was stronger than him? Heavenly King Evil Annihilation has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 2 stars, when Xuxing has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 3 stars, this content is taken from Light Novel World. Giant Spiritual Martial God has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star, Divine Eye has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 1 star. Heavenly Wind Immortal has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars. Heavenly Wind Immortal has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 2 stars, Divine General has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. Divine Lord Wuda has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. D Tai Bai has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 1 star. Wind Rain Immortal Official has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 1 star. Thunder Repulsion Heavenly Lord has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 1 star. A question mark appeared in Han Ju's mind. What in the world just happened? What the heck? Han Ju was almost frightened to death. His body stiffened. Dozens of notifications popped up in front of him. This was the first time. This commotion was too big. Han Ju could already imagine the scene of countless immortals staring at them. It was too terrifying. Could the immortal world spy on the mortal world? On second thought, this was normal. After all, he was an immortal. What should he do now? Admit defeat? Or forcefully continue on this path? Ji Xianxian clenched his fists and said excitedly, "All right. I'll accompany fellow Taoist Guan to turn the world upside down." As soon as he said that, another barrage of notifications appeared in front of Han Ju. He nodded and said, "Go back and cultivate well." Of course. Ji Xianxian turned around and left. His back view was even more high-spirited than when he had arrived. His situation had changed. He was no longer fighting for first place. He wanted to fight with the heavens. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Calm Han Ju returned to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain. The feeling of being spied on finally disappeared. He was uneasy, wondering if Heavenly Court would immediately send troops down. After returning to the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju asked in his mind, "Can the system barrier stop the prying of immortals?" A word appeared in front of him. Yes, Han Ju immediately calmed down. Above the 9 heavens, a lofty palace stood above the clouds. A plaque hung above the door. Numinous Palace. The main hall of the palace was spacious and grand. Silver pillars wrapped around dragons and phoenixes. 2 rows of mighty immortals stood, all facing a mighty figure above. Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor sat on the dragon throne. He was nearly 1,000 feet tall. Golden light flickered behind him and stars shone, making him look holy and imposing. The immortals in the hall were not as tall as the Heavenly Emperor. The imposing Heavenly Emperor wore a curtained pearl crown and looked down sharply. "What do you think about what that mortal said just now?" The Heavenly Emperor asked in a thunderous voice. A ruddy old man in a Taoist robe stood up, cupped his hands, and bowed. For a mortal to be so arrogant, it will damage the heavenly might. The Heavenly Court can send a heavenly general to kill him. As soon as he finished speaking, a heavenly general with a wirm wrapped around his waist and a body as tall as an iron tower stood up and said, "Your Majesty, the Heavenly Court is in need of people now. If this person really has talent, we can indeed accept him. Although the Heavenly Court has strong rules, we still have to show our generosity in order to attract the geniuses of the various worlds." The other immortals stood up to express their opinions. That demon saint is still unwilling to surrender. Now, even mortals dare to jump up and insult the Heavenly Court. Where can we put our faces? Is face more important, or the future of the Heavenly Court? The Buddhist sect, the Divine Palace, the Demon Court, the Tao sect, and so on are all thinking of ways to rope in the mortal world. Even the devils are the same. If our Heavenly Court insists on clearing the world, won't it be contrary to the general trend? The Heavenly Court is the land of immortals and gods. How can we look at it from the perspective of power struggles? Why don't you literature immortals go and kill the demon saint? Literature immortals and heavenly generals formed 2 camps. Most of the heavenly generals admired Han Ju, while the literature immortals disliked him. The numinous palace was as noisy as a market. The Heavenly Emperor frowned. After a long while, the immortals stopped. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. The Heavenly Emperor stared at them expressionlessly, scaring them so much that they lowered their heads and returned to their positions. After dealing with the matter of the demon saint, I'll send heavenly troops to descend into the mortal world to clean up the mortals. If these 2 mortals can stop the heavenly troops, I can do as he wishes. If they can't, they'll enter reincarnation with the mortal world. The Heavenly Emperor spoke with an unquestionable tone. The immortals bowed. What do you think about the Buddhist sect's conditions? The Heavenly Emperor asked. The atmosphere in the numinous palace instantly turned oppressive. Ever since he learned that the immortals were watching him, Han Ju hid in the cave abode and didn't go out. He first focused on cultivating the 6 paths of reincarnation technique. He became more and more proficient in the 6 paths insignia, 6 paths soul absorption, door of reincarnation, yin-yang travel, and other mystical powers. In the blink of an eye, another 10 years passed. Detected that you are 900 years old and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices: 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a supreme treasure. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Stay in the mortal world and you can obtain a random natural treasure. Han Ju didn't think and chose not to ascend. You chose not to ascend for the time being and obtained a random natural treasure. Congratulations on obtaining the 9 heavens galaxy water, 9 heavens galaxy water, one of the heavenly waters. It can produce immortal chi and absorb the spirit chi of heaven and earth to constantly produce 9 heavens galaxy water. 1 sip can heal physical injuries. 1 bowl can heal essence soul injuries. It looked very powerful. It could heal injuries and produce immortal chi. Han Ju immediately took out a fist-sized ball of silvery water. That's all. It wasn't even enough for 1 bowl. Han Ju looked at the corner of the cave abode. Where should he put it? He stood up and walked to a corner. He formed a small pit and placed the 9 heavens galaxy water inside. Han Ju was relieved after seeing that the 9 heavens galaxy water didn't sink into the soil. Dao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, "What water is this? The spirit chi is so dense. The source of this content is Light Novel World." Han Ju said, "You're not allowed to drink my precious silver water." "Why would I drink it secretly?" Dao Comprehension Sword puffed up her cheeks and snorted. Han Ju smiled and sat back on the bed. He took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing. While cursing, he checked his emails. He discovered that the demons had become more active recently. This was not a good sign. Could it be that the demons wanted to take advantage of the internal strife between the humans? It wasn't impossible. Han Ju thought to himself. He didn't intend to interfere. With Ji Xianxian around, it was very difficult for the demons to overturn the world. He had used the simulation trial before. In the trial, he didn't attack first. Instead, he waited for Ji Xianxian to attack. Ji Xianxian's strength was already comparable to the first level of the loose immortal realm. In the mortal world, such strength was definitely like a big boss. Han Ju thought of the heavenly court again. After so many years, there was no movement from them. Could it be that the matter regarding the demon saint had yet to be resolved? Why couldn't the heavenly court send the heavenly troops to deal with him? Could it be that shutting off the heavenly rules required a price? If Han Ju was the immortal god, he would definitely kill him immediately. However, from the perspective of an immortal, it was understandable. The difference in strength was too great. If a Qi refinement realm genius from the Jade Pure Sacred Sect threatened to stop Han Ju from clearing the outer sect, Han Ju would only smile and not directly kill him. No matter what, Han Ju still had time. He had to hurry up and become as strong as possible. A month later, Han Ju began to comprehend the Heaven-Earth Mystic Yellow World-Piercing Sword Finger, preparing to improve his Sword Dao mystical power. When he came to the Sword Dao River again, Han Ju saw Zhang Guxing. Zhang Guxing smiled and said, "You. Earth Immortal Realm. How is that possible? Follow current novels on Light Novel World." His tone turned horrified. Han Ju's ability to move between the netherworld and the mortal world. Hearing Zhang Guxing's words, Han Ju was secretly pleased. Hearing Zhang Guxing's words, Han Ju was secretly pleased. He didn't hide his cultivation level on purpose to show it to him. He couldn't keep a low profile. He had to show off and vent. Han Ju liked to see Zhang Guxing shocked. Perhaps his favorability would increase. Zhang Guxing's favorability towards you increased. Current favorability, 4 stars, 4 stars. He could be made into a Dao Com. Cough cough. A fellow Daoist. Han Ju felt that his thoughts had gone astray, or rather, he had become more cheeky. Zhang Guxing sighed. You broke through so quickly. There's immortal qi in the mortal world too. Under normal circumstances, there was no immortal qi in the mortal world. This was also the reason why the immortals didn't want to descend into the mortal world. Most of the immortals who descended into the mortal world did it either because they were curious or because they were avoiding their enemies. Han Ju smiled and said, yes, how's my cultivation speed? Can I attract the heavenly court's attention? Zhang Guxing replied, not only will it attract the heavenly court, but the Buddhist sect and divine palace will also be envious. Han Ju was even more pleased. This was 900 years of cultivation. You really plan on resisting the heavenly troops? Asked Zhang Guxing. Han Ju said helplessly, otherwise, what else can I do? I have no one to rely on, and I also want to protect the people around me. I can only grit my teeth and fight. Even if I break my teeth, I have to swallow it. Zhang Guxing was silent. Han Ju didn't say anything else. He walked around him and continued forward. Zhang Guxing turned around and looked at Han Ju. It was unknown what he was thinking. In the following year, in order to improve the 3 pure world cleansing, reincarnation sword intent, and firmament sword qi, Han Ju came 3 more times. Every time, Han Ju only nodded at Zhang Guxing and didn't stand on ceremony. Inside the Khanate cave abode, Han Ju sat on the bed and thought to himself, does this good brother really have no background? With my talent, isn't he going to rope me in? Han Ju shook his head and stopped thinking about it. He continued cultivating. 3 years later, Taoist 9 Cauldrons came to visit. It had been a long time since he visited Han Ju, which meant that the Jade Pure Sacred Sect had been very peaceful. Long time no see. How has Elder Han been cultivating recently? Taoist 9 Cauldrons asked with a smile. Han Ju missed Li Qingzi for some reason. Li Qingzi wouldn't be polite. Han Ju smiled and said, it's alright. Did anything happen recently? Taoist 9 Cauldrons nodded and said, something has indeed happened. It's a huge matter. The demons are gathering. Why are they gathering? For what? A demon emperor has risen among the demons. He has declared that he will lead the demons to prosperity. It is said that this demon emperor has the support of the demon race's immortal emperor of the upper world. After the war between the righteous and demonic, the humans became weak. If the demons successfully gather, the humans might not be able to stop them. So, what does the Jade Pure Sacred Sect need to do? I'm here to ask about this. The human holy lands have already begun to discuss countermeasures, but the 2 races are scattered everywhere. Once the battle begins, it will definitely be chaotic, even more chaotic than the war between the righteous and demonic paths. Don't be afraid. With me around, nothing will happen to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. As for the world, with the heavenly immortal manners Ji Xianxian around, nothing will happen. In other words, we don't have to do anything. Han Ju said earnestly, correct our position. Although we have swallowed the 9 Dragons sect, we aren't the strongest sect in the 10 states and 9 dynasties. Taoist 9 Cauldrons took a deep breath. He also realized that he had been a little impetuous recently. As the Jade Pure Sacred Sect became stronger, some elders and disciples' ambitions also began to inflate. They hoped that Taoist 9 Cauldrons could lead the Jade Pure Sacred Sect to continue expanding. Once one embarked on the path of power, it was very difficult to let go. After Taoist 9 Cauldrons left, Han Ju didn't think too much about it. No matter how the Jade Pure Sacred Sect stirred up trouble, with him around, the sect would not be destroyed. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Han Ju checked the emails. Your grand disciple Fang Liang was attacked by a demon king, x12, your good friend Ji Xianxian was attacked by a fiendish cultivator, x170003, your Dao companion Xing Hongxian encountered a fortuitous encounter and her soul has been elevated. Your grand disciple Fang Liang comprehended a mystical power in battle. Your disciple Tu Linger was attacked by demon beasts, x54928, your disciple Tu Linger has begun to transform into a grand magus. Your grand disciple Murong Qi was attacked by demon beasts, x204211, your disciple Sun Chang'an was attacked by demon beasts, x9842, your good friend Divine General was attacked by an immortal emperor. The cultivation world became turbulent again. Han Ju noticed the Divine General's actions. Wow! Immortal Emperor. Han Ju's previous arrogant words had attracted a lot of hatred and favorability. Because he had heard of the legend of the Divine General, he had placed this guy into his special attention group. He didn't expect that in just a few years, the Divine General would be attacked by an immortal emperor. It seemed like working for the heavenly court, especially for the heavenly generals, was extremely dangerous and tiring. It was worth mentioning that the system did not show the Divine General's cultivation. Like Di Hongye, his cultivation was unknown. Han Ju also noticed that Sun Chang'an and Murong Qi were attacked by a large number of demon beasts. The number of attacks was too exaggerated. In other words, over the years, 200,000 demon beasts had attacked Murong Qi. This did not include the beasts he had killed. Indeed, Sun Chang'an was the inferior version of Tang Seng. He was extremely attractive to demons. Han Ju wasn't worried that he would be eaten. After all, Murong Qi was there. Murong Qi was already at the void amalgamation realm, equivalent to a demon saint of the mortal world. It was difficult for ordinary demon kings to kill him. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Han Ju continued to check on his friends who were not given special attention, especially the immortals of the heavenly court. They were all attacked by demons. The number of times they were attacked exceeded 300,000. Ridiculous. Too ridiculous. Han Ju suddenly felt that joining the heavenly court wasn't a good thing. The heavenly court was not the strongest force, but it was the most famous. It was definitely being watched by countless experts. In that case, even if I ascend, it's best to find a hidden sect. The heavenly court is too ostentatious and doesn't suit me. Han Ju thought silently. After watching for a while, he continued cultivating. 2 years later, Tu Linger returned. She first visited Han Ju. Tu Linger knelt in front of him and said excitedly, "Master, on the way back, I was attacked by demon beasts and accidentally awakened a mysterious power. Help me take a look at my body and see if I have any powerful bloodline." Look at her body. Han Ju frowned. Dao Comprehension Sword looked suspiciously at her. Tu Linger felt that she had said something wrong and hurriedly explained, "Previously, in the heavenly immortal manner, although my aptitude was outstanding, my powerful bloodline was not detected. Now, my physical strength is rapidly increasing. It's really strange." Han Ju said calmly, "Your previous life was not simple. It's best if this matter doesn't spread. Otherwise, it will attract a fatal disaster. At that time, even I can't protect you." Hearing this, Tu Linger was shocked. She carefully asked, "You knew long ago?" "I comprehend the 3 realms. My spirit heavenly eyes can peer into the cycle of reincarnation. Thank you for your reminder, Master." Tu Linger was frightened and looked at Han Ju with even more reverence. With a flip of her right hand, a mushroom-looking thing appeared in her hand. "Master, this is a natural treasure that I exchanged for with all the spirit stones in the heavenly immortal manor. This treasure is ranked in the top 3 in the heavenly immortal manor's treasure vault." Tu Linger giggled. "The source of this content is Light Novel World." Han Ju frowned and said, "You became my disciple. Did the heavenly immortal manner already know about this? Tu Linga replied, I have already severed ties with the manor. Before I left, I received a large number of missions as a form of repayment. My previous master also agreed. Now, the heavenly immortal manor revolves around Ji Xianxian. All the resources are given to him first. They didn't reject my departure at all. Instead, they seemed relieved, first appeared in chapter 136. I can understand. You geniuses are nothing compared to Ji Xianxian, Han Ju said calmly as Tu Linger became depressed. I can understand. You geniuses are nothing compared to Ji Xianxian, Han Ju said calmly as Tu Linger became depressed. After returning to the heavenly immortal manor, the name she heard the most was Ji Xianxian. Ji Xianxian's powerful rise made many geniuses of the manor feel pressured. The heavenly immortal manor seemed to have gone mad. They gave all the best cultivation resources to Ji Xianxian and spared no effort to nurture him, causing the treatment of the other geniuses to decrease greatly. Although Tu Linger had grown up in the heavenly immortal manor, she didn't have a close relationship with her master nor any close friends. Therefore, her departure was not obstructed by the manor. One less person, one less mouth to feed. Han Ju looked at Tu Linger's aggrieved expression and smiled. Cultivate well. Ji Xianxian is very busy now. This is your chance to surpass him. The power in your body is not something that Ji Xianxian can compare to. Tu Linger immediately beamed. The Black Fox Demon Emperor has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 4 stars, a line of words appeared in front of Han Ju. He immediately checked the information of the Black Fox Demon Emperor. Black Fox Demon Emperor, 8th level of the Mahayana realm, an emperor of the demons. He has obtained the providence of the demons and has already unified more than half of the demons in the mortal world. Because he heard your disciple Feng Liang mention you, saying that you are the number 1 in the world, he has developed hatred towards you and wants to defeat you before taking down the humans. Current hatred points, 4 stars, an 8th level Mahayana realm cultivator dares to challenge me? He's asking to get killed. Han Ju was disdainful and couldn't be bothered with the demon emperor. As for Feng Liang, he wasn't worried. It was impossible for the son of heaven and earth to die. Even if he died, he would have to die in another world. Han Ju chatted with her for a while and then asked her to leave. After leaving the Khanate cave abode, Tu Linger felt a little regretful. Am I not good looking? Tu Linger walked to the Fusang tree and took out a mirror. Yang Tiandong glanced at her, feeling uninterested. After all, he had cultivated the heartless flying sword before. The 3-headed Wirm king chuckled and asked, Miss Tu, do you have a sweetheart? The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Calm the Black Hell Chicken added with a smile, yes, up on the mountain. There are too many women who want to eat their sweetheart. The chaotic heavenly dog asked curiously, who? The 2 golden crows also opened their eyes. Tu Linger's face reddened. She glared at the chicken and scolded. You haven't sparred in so many years. Do you want to fight? The Black Hell Chicken snorted. Fight her. Ada was the larger of the 2 golden crows. The other was called Xiaoer. Tu Linger rolled her eyes at the Black Hell Chicken and cursed. Coward. I, your Master Chicken, am a phoenix. Would a phoenix call itself Master Chicken? You. Han Ju ignored the worldly affairs and focused on cultivating. Spring and autumn came and passed, and time went on mercilessly. Some experienced hardships, some immersed in happiness, some ascended, and some went to the netherworld. Many of Han Ju's disciples and good friends also had various experiences in the mortal world. As for him, he sat on a meditation mat and comprehended the great Tao to increase his cultivation. Time was forgotten. 30 years passed. Han Ju finally broke through to the mid-stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal realm. With the addition of the Resurrection Lily and 9 Heavens Galaxy Water, the immortal chi in the cave abode kept increasing. However, Han Ju still felt that his cultivation speed was slow. He took out the Book of Misfortune and started to do his daily missions. 6 days per person, not too much, not too little. He then checked his emails. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. The cultivation world was becoming more and more chaotic. Not only the cultivation world but also the heavenly court. If the heavenly court was in chaos, it would be a good thing for Han Ju. As long as the heavenly court did not have peace, they wouldn't descend into the mortal world. Judging by the number of times the immortals had been attacked, this chaos would probably last for many years. Han Ju was even more interested in the mysterious demon saint now. It could make the heavenly court unable to do anything even after hundreds of years. It was even more capable than the great sage rivaling heaven in Journey to the West. Han Ju cursed for half a year. Apart from the Vermilion Bird, Yang San, and Taoist Dan Qing, he also cursed all the immortals who hated him. After cursing all his enemies, Han Ju felt refreshed. This is retribution for hating me. He continued to cultivate. More than 2 years passed. Su Qi suddenly visited him. Ever since he returned, Su Qi had been cultivating in seclusion. His cultivation level had already reached the body integration realm. After his divinity awakened, his potential had also transformed. After entering the cave abode, Su Qi knelt in front of Han Ju and bowed. Han Ju didn't ask Dao Comprehension Sword to leave either. As long as the two of them didn't interact, she wouldn't be stained with bad luck. Master, I've been in seclusion for so many years. I feel that my cultivation isn't enough and want to go out and train. Do you have any missions? Su Qi asked expectantly. Han Ju didn't reject him directly. Su Qi had been holding back for so long. He should go out and wander around. He couldn't restrain him forever. Han Ju suddenly thought of the Black Fox Demon Emperor who started hating him 30 years ago. Go find the Black Fox Demon Emperor. Try to stay by his side and gain his trust. Don't act rashly. Han Ju smiled. Su Qi's eyes lit up. He immediately agreed. He didn't ask who the Black Fox Demon Emperor was. He believed that he could find out. Han Ju waved his hand, signaling that he could leave. Every disciple and grand disciple had mastered the invocation technique. Han Ju wasn't afraid that something would happen to Su Qi. Su Qi was an existence who was even harder to kill than Fong Liang. After he left, Dao Comprehension Sword asked, "Who is the Black Fox Demon Emperor? You want to go too? I'll only go if Master wants me to." "Forget it. You're so weak. Don't let the Black Fox Demon Emperor capture you and make you his concubine." "Humph. Then, I'll stay by Master's side and cultivate. Sooner or later, I'll be stronger than the Black Fox Demon Emperor. At that time, I'll skin him and make a piece of clothing for Master. With such strong killing intent, you won't achieve anything in life." "Huh." Han Ju closed his eyes and went back to cultivation. Dao Comprehension Sword curled her lips. Although she looked aggrieved, there was a smile in her eyes. Inside a palace. Wearing silver armor, Yang San was meditating and cultivating when his expression suddenly changed. He suddenly opened his eyes and gritted his teeth. "No. I can't take it anymore." He stood up and looked at the sky outside the hall. "General, what can't you hold back?" A wisp of green smoke emerged from the oil lamp beside him and condensed into the figure of a beautiful woman. She floated in the air and stared at Yang San gently. Yang San clenched his fists and said in a low voice, "The battle between the heavenly court and that demon saint is still ongoing. There's no end to it. Now, I'm constantly reminded of junior sister dying every day while cultivating. In addition, there's a curse pestering me. It's most likely related to that brat in the mortal world. I'm going to descend into the mortal world and kill him now. The woman frowned. With the heavenly rules, your cultivation level will be suppressed to the loose immortal realm. It's very dangerous. Yang San's eyes flickered. I can ask an immortal god for a heavenly Tao stone. No, this is against the rules. I just need to act quickly. Kill him and then come back. But don't worry. I'm a late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm cultivator. How can I not be a match for a loose immortal? How many years has it been? Could it be that he has also broken through to the Earth Immortal Realm? Do you think that's possible? It's impossible, but it's not good to break the rules. The Heavenly Emperor is very sensitive to this. I've made up my mind. After Su Qi left, another 10 years passed. After Su Qi left, another 10 years passed. Han Ju kept cultivating, and his cultivation level increased steadily. On this day, he opened his eyes and took out the Book of Misfortune to curse. At the same time, he opened the emails. Your good friend Zhou Fan has refined the domination physique again. He has fused both his previous and current lives. His cultivation has increased greatly. Your good friend Mo Zhu has comprehended the true meaning of heaven and earth during her cultivation. Her comprehension has increased. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by demon beasts, X158907, your grand disciple Fong Liang was attacked by your enemy, the Black Fox Demon Emperor. Your grand disciple Fong Liang fought desperately to survive and condensed his heart of killing. Your good friend Divine General was trapped in the fiendish formation. His fate is unknown. Your disciple Su Qi was attacked by demon beasts, X24113. Still so chaotic. Perhaps to some people, it was not chaos, but excitement. Although Han Ju was already invincible in the mortal world, he still didn't have the interest to explore the world. There would be many opportunities in the future. He couldn't delay his cultivation now. What would happen when he encountered powerful enemies in the future? Han Ju really didn't want to die anymore. Just as he was sighing, Tao Comprehension Sword saw him open his eyes and said, Master, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine seems to be sprouting. Han Ju said, Really? That's good. I'll go out and take a look in half a year. Tao Comprehension Sword asked curiously, Why half a year? Han Ju held the Book of Misfortune and said seriously, One can't be reckless. Cultivation has to have a rhythm. I'll calm down first. Although Tao Comprehension Sword didn't understand, she was very impressed. After spending half a year cursing all his enemies, Han Ju stood up and walked out of the Khanate cave abode. Arriving in front of the Fusang tree, Yang Tiandong, Tu Linger, and the three-headed Wirm king stood up and bowed to him. The black hell chicken and chaotic heavenly dog also looked at him. Han Ju stared at the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine on the Fusang tree and pondered. Updated from Light Novel World. One of the gourd vines had indeed begun to sprout. Perhaps it was some pattern, but it happened to have 7 sprouts. There were 7 Khanate gourds in the legends of the primordial world. There was also the story of the 7 Calabash brothers. Perhaps 7 represented a certain pattern in the rules of the world. It seems that the Fusang tree, the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine, the 9 Heavens Galaxy Water, the Resurrection Lily, and the ancient spiritual ginseng can affect and speed up each other's growth. Han Ju thought silently. He looked forward to the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine forming a gourd. These gourds could be refined into Dharma treasures or become living beings. Han Ju didn't have a high demand for Dharma treasures, but he hoped that the gourd could transform. Cultivation was boring and lonely. All these years, if not for the Black Hell Chicken, Tao Comprehension Sword, and the others, Han Ju's personality would probably have changed. In addition, if the gourds transformed, they could become a powerful force in the future. Perhaps I should give my lineage a name. Han Ju suddenly had an idea. Sooner or later, he would ascend to the upper world. It would be very difficult for the Jade Pure Sacred Sect to follow him for life. Moreover, the sect was also divided into many branches. There were the 18 peaks, the main peak, and various branches of the elders. Although they were a sect, they had all sorts of inheritances. Han Ju didn't think too much about it. At the moment, he wasn't ready to pass down a legacy alone. He would wait until his disciples had completely matured. After thinking for a while, Han Ju returned to the Khanate cave abode. At the same time, a crack appeared in the vast starry sky. A figure slowly stepped out and walked into the mortal world. It was Yang San. Yang San wore heavy silver armor and had a majestic figure. He wore a WIRM silver crown and held a spear that burned with flames. A crazed smile appeared on his face. Your nightmare has arrived. Yang San was excited. He was finally going to avenge his junior sister. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Kam Hee and Yang Yanjun had grown up together. They could be said to be childhood sweethearts. They had even done things that only husband and wife could do. However, afraid that his master would discover it, he had never made it public. Yang Yanjun had descended into the mortal world and died because of his request. This hatred was like a nightmare that haunted Yang San's heart. If he didn't take revenge, his Tao heart would be damaged. As Yang San descended into the mortal world, he pinched his fingers to deduce. Soon, he knew where his junior had died. He immediately flew in that direction. He didn't want to delay to prevent unnecessary trouble. He wanted to kill Han Ju as soon as possible, extract his soul, bring him back to the heavenly court, and torture him every day. Thinking of Han Ju's begging figure made Yang San so excited that he couldn't control himself. Jade Pure Sacred Sect, cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. Not long after Han Ju returned to his cave abode, a familiar voice sounded. Fellow Taoist Guan, come quickly. I'll wait for you at the usual place. It was Ji Xianqian again. Han Ju was speechless. Is this fellow pestering me? Why does he come every few days? Han Ju sighed and stood up helplessly. In the forest, Ji Xianqian waited for Han Ju with a smile. He wanted to tell him a piece of good news. At this moment, his heart suddenly palpitated. He suddenly looked up and saw a handsome man with a bright light walking towards the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain. In his hand was an extremely dazzling fire spear. Ji Xianqian frowned. Who was this? He immediately rushed up and blocked Yang San's path. Who are you? From the looks of it, he was clearly looking for trouble with the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. Ji Xianqian was the number one in the world now and had the duty to protect the righteous path in the mortal world. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Han Ju would owe him a favor. Yang San stared at him coldly and said, "Get lost." Upon hearing this, Ji Xianqian's anger soared. He cursed, "How arrogant." Raising his hands, lightning burst out from his body. Without another word, Yang San suddenly waved his spear. His dermic powers erupted and sent Ji Xianqian flying. Boom, Ji Xianqian spat out a mouthful of blood. Yang San continued forward and looked at the 18 peaks of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect in the distance. Then, he suddenly swung his spear. In an instant, the surging flames turned into a huge flaming dragon that swept over. The mountains and rivers along the way shattered and the clouds were scattered by the heat wave. It was unstoppable. You're courting death. Ji Xianqian roared angrily. His disheveled hair rose into the sky. Thunderclouds gathered and the world darkened. Countless bolts of lightning interwove on Ji Xianqian's body. Lightning burst forth from his eyes, and his robes swelled from his muscles. He was like the god of thunder descending into the mortal world, unstoppable and unbeatable. Yang San looked at him in surprise. This person can actually use the heavenly lightning. Ji Xianchen struck out with his palm. Countless bolts of lightning shot towards Yang San from all directions. The scene was shocking. Yang San brandished his spear and easily blocked the lightning attack. He noticed that the flaming dragon he had shot out had actually dissipated. The 18 peaks of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect were still unscathed. In front of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain stood a figure. It was Han Ju. At this moment, he frowned. What powerful dermic powers! He was much stronger than Yang Yanjun and Daoist Juyan. Under the Fusang tree, the Black Hell Chicken, the 2 golden crows, the chaotic heavenly dog, Dao Comprehension Sword, the 3-headed Wirm King, Tu Linger, and Yang Tiandong looked nervously at the sky. In their eyes, the sky was filled with lightning and thunder, as if it was the end of the world. The pressure of the battle had already enveloped the entire Jade Pure Sacred Sect, startling all the cultivators out of seclusion and into the sky. Completely infuriated, Ji Xianchen could no longer bother to guess Yang San's identity. He kept striking out with his palms, bombarding Yang San with endless divine lightning. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Yang San, late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal, 8th grade Heavenly General of the Heavenly Court. Yang San, late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal, 8th grade Heavenly General of the Heavenly Court. Han Ju frowned when he saw the message. Late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Realm. The cultivation levels of Grand Unity and Reincarnation cultivation systems were roughly divided into 4 minor realms: early, middle, late, and perfect. The reason why the previous loose immortal realm was divided into 9 levels was that it was not part of the Grand Unity cultivation system. Han Ju was a reincarnation loose immortal, so it was not divided into 9 levels. Yang San came to the mortal world but was actually still a late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal. What did that mean? This fellow had a heaven-evading stone. Was he a deliverman? Han Ju immediately flew towards him. He didn't use the simulation trial, afraid that he would be attacked by Yang San when he closed his eyes. It was obvious that Ji Xianchen was not Yang San's match. Yang San noticed Han Ju's arrival, and his eyes instantly turned red. Could it be this person? It was this person who had killed his beloved junior sister. Yang San roared angrily. He waved the spear, causing flames to surge out and destroy countless bolts of lightning. Ji Xianchen vomited blood and flew backward. How can this be? Ji Xianchen gritted his teeth and tried his best to stabilize himself. However, he was still sent flying more than 10 kilometers away. He looked up and saw Yang San erupting with a powerful aura that shook the world. Torrential flames coiled around Yang San's body like a tornado that connected the heavens and the earth, causing the ground to shake violently and cracks to tear through the sky. Advancing, Han Ju clearly felt that the surrounding space was seized by a mysterious force, like an invisible prison that confined the world. Even if he wanted to escape now, it would be very difficult for him to do so in an instant. This fellow really wanted to kill him. Han Ju had no choice but to take out the primordial judgment sword. All his numinous treasures were injected with dermic powers and emitted a blinding light. Yang San didn't say anything else and directly attacked him. Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. The flames around him condensed into 9 ferocious fire dragons nearly 10,000 feet tall. They roared at Han Ju continuously, resounding throughout the world. The cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect were all shocked when they saw this. Oh my God, who is that? Could it be an immortal god descending into the mortal world? There's actually such a mighty figure in the world. Can our deity-slaying elder withstand it? Wow, that's Mahayana. Even Mahayana isn't that strong. Daoist Nine Cauldrons, Xiao Yao, and Lu Bumi were also watching the battle nervously. Facing Yang San's pressure, they felt an unprecedented fear. What sort of cultivation was needed to have such an aura? Facing the menacing Yang San, Han Ju immediately waved his sword and used 3 pure world cleansing. In an instant, with him as the center, a sea of sword chi appeared around him. Countless sword shadows condensed one after another. Yang San stabbed with his spear. His aura was like a rainbow. The 9 fire dragons spat flames at Han Ju. Han Ju's eyes narrowed. The millions of sword shadows around him immediately attacked Yang San. Boom! Almost instantly, millions of sword shadows collided with Yang San and his 9 fire dragons. A terrifying sword chi exploded, flattening the land and scattering the sea of clouds. In the sword chi, the sword light shone on Yang San's face. He looked terrified. This sword chi. Earth immortal. Impossible. Isn't he immortal? Why is he at the Earth immortal realm? Can it be that he also has a heavenly Tao stone? Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Many thoughts flashed through Yang San's mind in that instant. He used all his dermic powers to block, but 3 pure world cleansing was too domineering, forcing him to retreat. If he could master a mystical power like the 3 pure world cleansing, he wouldn't only be an 8th grade heavenly general. Han Ju waved his sword again, and more sword shadows appeared. In less than 2 breaths of time, Yang San's body was destroyed. Han Ju was a little dissatisfied. They were both at the Earth immortal realm, but he was actually unable to insta-kill the enemy. It seemed that he had lost his edge. In the distance, Ji Xianxian floated in the air, stunned. Such a powerful Yang San was actually crushed by Han Ju and had no strength to resist at all. How strong was Han Ju? In the sword light, Han Ju quickly arrived in front of Yang San's essence soul. After his body was destroyed, only a storage ring and a stone floated in the air. Even Yang San's spear hand had turned into dust. Yang San's essence soul looked at Han Ju in shock and asked with a trembling voice, "Who are you? Mortals couldn't be so strong. This fellow was definitely from the upper world." Han Ju said calmly, "I'm from the divine world of Great Wei. My true identity is Cao Cao." With that, he raised the primordial judgment sword and prepared to destroy Yang San's essence soul. At this moment, a voice sounded, "Young friend, forgive others when possible. Let my disciple go and we won't pursue this matter. Daoist Dan Qing's hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points, 5 stars, Daoist Dan Qing." Han Ju looked around and didn't see anyone else. He used the simulation trial to check but still didn't find Daoist Dan Qing. Could it be that the other party was still in the upper world and was only transmitting his voice? Follow new episodes on the Light Novel World. Com platform. It was very likely. With Daoist Dan Qing's hatred, if he could kill Han Ju, how could he hold back? Yang San heaved a sigh of relief when he heard his master's voice. He didn't say anything to Han Ju. The most important thing now was to survive. Han Ju hesitated only for a moment. Then, he directly destroyed Yang San's essence soul. Next, he put the heaven-evading stone and storage ring into his sleeve. Daoist Dan Qing's hatred towards you has increased. Current hatred points, 6 stars, very good, Cao Cao. In that case, the grudge between us won't end until one of us is dead. I want to see how confident your Great Wei divine world is. Just wait and see. Daoist Dan Qing's voice sounded. Han Ju didn't reply and flew towards Ji Xianxian. Only Han Ju could hear Daoist Dan Qing's voice. After the cultivators of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect couldn't sense Yang San's aura anymore, they heaved a sigh of relief. Deity-slaying Elder was as powerful as ever. No matter how powerful the enemy was, facing him, only death awaited. Han Ju and Ji Xianxian came to a forest. Ji Xianxian sat under a tree and circulated his energy to heal his injuries. He looked at Han Ju with a complicated expression. He gritted his teeth and asked, "Are you Guan Yu or Cao Cao? Is the Great Way divine world from the upper world?" Han Ju didn't answer, in case Taoist Dan Qing was still eavesdropping. He asked, "Thank you for today. Why are you looking for me?" Yang San was obviously here for Han Ju. The fact that Ji Xianxian could stand out caused Han Ju to have a favorable impression of him. Hearing this, Ji Xianxian was embarrassed. He wanted Han Ju to owe him a favor, but he was almost killed instead. That person was an immortal from the heavenly court. "It's normal that you can't defeat him," Han Ju consoled. "Immortal? How did you offend an immortal?" Ji Xianxian asked in surprise. Han Ju didn't hide anything and told him about the relationship between Great Sage Green Python, Luo Qima, Daoist Juyan, Yang Yanjun, and the others. He knew that Ji Xianxian was related to a certain immortal god of the heavenly court. He could spread this news to prevent any misunderstandings. After hearing this, Ji Xianxian couldn't help but become furious. He said, "In other words, the heavenly generals are instigating the demonic path and causing it to prosper. Now, the heavenly court wants to use this reason to clean up our mortal world. They're going too far. When I return, I must ask that immortal god why this is so." Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience. His impression of the heavenly court worsened. "I knew it. Immortals are all hypocrites." Ji Xianxian was angry for a while before beginning to talk about serious matters. Ji Xianxian was angry for a while before beginning to talk about serious matters. "I came to find you because I wanted to ask if you wanted to travel the demon realm together. The reason why the Black Fox Demon Emperor was able to rise is that he obtained the help of the demon realm. It's also a mortal world, but one ruled by demons. If the two of us join forces, we will definitely be able to massacre the demon realm. At that time, all the resources will belong to you and me. This is also the request of the immortal god who came to me in my dreams." "The heavenly court and the demons are irreconcilable," Ji Xianxian said in a low voice. After knowing about Yang San and Daoist Juyan, Ji Xianxian began to doubt the heavenly court. Han Ju shook his head and said, "Go ahead. I'm too strong. If I make a move, you won't have anything to do." Ji Xianxian. He felt insulted. However, when he thought of the previous battle, he had to admit it. The difference in strength between the two was indeed huge. Han Ju reminded, "Be careful. There are also demon factions in the upper world. If you can obtain the instructions of the heavenly court's immortals, the demon realm might have arrangements from the demons in the upper world. As a pawn, you can't be careless." The word pawn pierced Ji Xianxian's heart. However, after calming down, he also began to suspect something. In his dream, he had asked that immortal god for help, asking the heavenly court not to do anything to their mortal world. However, the immortal god said that the heavenly emperor had already made his decision. He couldn't interfere. From the looks of it, had he been played? The more Ji Xianxian thought about it, the more he felt that it was possible. "Other than this, is there anything else?" Han Ju asked. Ji Xianxian said, "Our manor lord has invited you to be the deputy manor lord. Are you willing?" Han Ju shook his head. Ji Xianxian was disappointed. 5 minutes later, Ji Xianxian left and Han Ju returned to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain. The Jade Pure Sacred Sect was still in an uproar. The battle just now was too exciting, and they were finding it difficult to calm down. Han Ju ignored Yang Tiandong and the others and returned to the Khanate cave abode. He began to think. At the mid-stage of the Reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm, he actually didn't insta-kill the late-stage Grand Unity Earth Immortal Yang San. This was a huge problem. Apart from Sword Dao, he felt that he had to increase the strength of his dermic powers. Han Ju pondered as he cultivated. 7 years passed quickly. A line of words appeared in front of Han Ju, who was cultivating. Giant spiritual martial god has developed hatred towards you. Current hatred points, 4 stars. Han Ju was stunned. Wasn't it a favorable impression earlier? Why did it suddenly become hatred? Han Ju immediately checked the martial god's information. Giant spiritual martial god, perfected grand unity heaven immortal realm, 4th grade heavenly general. Because you killed his subordinate, Yang San, he has developed hatred towards you and thinks that you are too arrogant. When the heavenly court cleans up the mortal world, he will definitely teach you a lesson. Current hatred points, 4 stars, I see. Perfected grand unity heaven immortal realm. That was quite impressive. Han Ju felt the pressure. For this, he immediately took out the Book of Misfortune and started cursing the giant spiritual martial god. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, 20 years passed. Han Ju was already very close to the late stage of the reincarnation Earth immortal realm. On this day, a line of words appeared in front of him. Detected bearer of connate providence, check its origin. After so many years, he finally met another person with connate providence. Curious, Han Ju immediately chose to check. Chu Shiren, 8th level of the Qi refinement realm. The reincarnation of the Supreme Buddha of the immortal world. In order to experience the suffering of the mortal world, the Supreme Buddha reincarnated into the mortal world. Due to the Buddha's immense providence, Chu Shiren is extremely talented, and his providence is not inferior to that of the children of heaven and earth. As he grew up in a Taoist temple, he has a benevolent heart and hates evil. He does not pursue cultivation and hopes to use his mortal body to enlighten the people. Under the guidance of the Buddha in his dreams, he came to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. His original intention is to promote the great kindness Dermic Tao in the cultivation sect. Visit Light Novel World. Com for a better experience reincarnation of the revered Supreme Buddha. Han Ju was shocked. He noticed that the reason why Chu Shiren came to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was that he was guided by the Buddha in his dreams. What was the meaning of this? The Buddhists of the immortal world noticed him. Were they deliberately sending spies? Or was the Buddhist sect here for the reincarnated Sun Chang'an? Han Ju was very cautious. I can't accept this kid. He pretended not to see it. Then, Han Ju closed his eyes and continued cultivating. Jade Pure Sacred Sect, Heavenly Thunder Peak. In a hall, the coaching elder of Heavenly Thunder Peak was frowning at a man. This man was none other than the reincarnated Supreme Buddha. Chu Shiren wore a Taoist robe and looked young and handsome. He had an optimistic and cheerful smile on his face. The coaching elder said helplessly, "You've been in the sect for 5 years and have yet to reach the foundation establishment realm. With your talent, you shouldn't be like this. What do you usually do?" In the current Jade Pure Sacred Sect, one only had the right to enter the inner sect after reaching the Golden Core realm. His exception to recruit Chu Shiren had already caused the disciples of the Heavenly Thunder Peak to criticize him. Back then, it was the coaching elder who led Chu Shiren into cultivation. In 7 days, he cultivated from 0 to the 4th level of the Qi refinement realm. Such talent was simply unheard of. It was precisely because of this that the coaching elder had made an exception to take Chu Shiren as his personal disciple. He had originally wanted to give the sect a surprise, but he didn't expect it to become his nightmare. This disciple actually doesn't like to cultivate. Yes. He didn't like it. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Damn it. If you don't like it, why did you acknowledge me as your master? The coaching elder had a headache. He had forgotten that he was the one who insisted on taking in Chu Shiren as his disciple. Chu Shiren smiled and said, "Master, you know my ambitions. I think spirit energy is the greatest obstacle to the development of peace. Therefore, it's impossible for me to cultivate. Impossible to cultivate. The coaching elder almost died of anger. I should really send you to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain and let the deity-slaying elder change your personality. The coaching elder snorted. Chu Shuren had been to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect for a period of time and had naturally heard of the legend of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. He asked curiously, Master, what kind of person is the deity-slaying elder? He was very curious about this elder. As the strongest cultivator in the entire sect, the deity-slaying elder rarely showed himself. He didn't touch power or cause trouble. He didn't want women and only attacked when the sect was facing a calamity. In his opinion, this was a saint. He felt that understanding the deity-slaying elder would help him consolidate the great Tao he wanted. Equality of all life. How would I know? I've been in the sect for so long, but I've never seen him before. The coaching elder snorted. This was the truth. He had only entered the sect for a few hundred years. Chu Shuren asked, why does the world insist on pursuing longevity? Is longevity really good? With the inherent bad nature of people, if everyone lives forever, how can the world withstand it? Hearing his question, the coaching elder felt a headache. He said angrily, not everyone can live forever. Longevity is only a legend. People cultivate to fight against the heavens. Has the heavens mistreated the world? Get lost. Master, let me give you a piece of advice. It's best not to cultivate anymore. You and I can promote peace together. If you don't get lost, I'll expel you from the sect. All right. Chu Shuren sighed and left in disappointment. The coaching elder was really envious of his talent. Otherwise, he wouldn't have spoiled him like this. However, there was something wrong with Chu Shuren's mind. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience. Should I send him to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain for a period of time? This thought appeared in the coaching elder's mind. After Han Ju learned that the reincarnation of the Supreme Buddha had come to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, another 10 years passed. After Han Ju learned that the reincarnation of the Supreme Buddha had come to the Jade Pure Sacred Sect, another 10 years passed. His cultivation had already broken through to the late stage of the reincarnation Earth Immortal realm a few years ago. He cultivated with all his heart. His goal was to break through to the perfected reincarnation Earth Immortal realm. On this day, Taoist 9 cauldrons came. Han Ju let him in. The two of them exchanged pleasantries, but Taoist 9 cauldrons was a little embarrassed. What is it? Just say it. Han Ju smiled. Taoist 9 cauldrons coughed and said, it's like this. The elders feel that this mountain is very big and vast. Can we let the 18 peaks each choose an outstanding disciple to cultivate here? We will definitely not disturb your cultivation. I wonder. No. Han Ju rejected calmly. Without waiting for him to continue, Han Ju said meaningfully, although the sect often gives resources to the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, the spirit chi on this mountain mainly comes from the tree outside the cave. It's not convenient for me to reveal its origins. If I open this door today, more people will come in the future. This is not good for me. Taoist 9 cauldrons frowned. How many times had Han Ju saved the Jade Pure Sacred Sect? No one had contributed more to the sect than him. They owed him more in comparison. If Han Ju wanted to rebel, the 9 Dragons sect led by Huang Zuantian and the Blood Fire Heavenly sect led by Lu Bumi would immediately switch allegiance to him. Everyone knew who the greatest pillar of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect was. Taoist 9 cauldrons also knew very well. He sighed and said, actually, I know that very well. It's just that those elders often say that and I'm tired of hearing them. The next time they mention it, I'll directly reject them. Hanju nodded and said, "Sect Master, don't focus so much on the sect. You have to spend time cultivating. How far the Jade Pure Sacred Sect can go depends on your cultivation level." Taoist Nine Cauldrons smiled and nodded. Hanju thought for a moment and waved his right hand. Cultivation techniques and spell scrolls appeared on the table. These were all the resources he'd seized from his enemy's storage rings, and this was just the batch of lower quality methods. "Bring this back to the sect," Hanju said. Stunned, Taoist Nine Cauldrons hurriedly started reading. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. Come soon, he was shocked. These cultivation techniques. He turned to look at Hanju and said excitedly, "Thank you, Elder Han. I won't let anyone disturb you in the future." Hanju smiled and nodded. After Taoist Nine Cauldrons left, Hanju continued cultivating. Soon, the disciples of the Jade Pure Sacred Sect discovered that many cultivation techniques with terrifying prices had appeared in the cultivation technique building. There were even ways to become an immortal. The entire sect was in an uproar. After that, even if some elders had designs on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, they would be scolded by Taoist Nine Cauldrons. 3 years later, Hanju stopped cultivating and took out the Book of Misfortune. While cursing, he checked his emails. "Your grand disciple Feng Liang was sent to the demon realm by your enemy, the Black Fox Demon Emperor. Your good friend Ji Xianchen was attacked by demon beasts, X189221, your good friend Imo Fuzhou was attacked by demon beasts, X107234, your good friend Zhou Fan received a fortuitous encounter and obtained an ancient mighty figure's inheritance. Your Dao companion Xing Hongxian was attacked by demon beasts, X8653, your grand disciple Murong Qi was attacked by demon beasts, X14780, your grand disciple Murong Qi was attacked by a demon saint and was severely injured. Your grand disciple Murong Qi has awakened his innate mystical power. His cultivation has increased greatly and his bloodline has begun to transform. They were in danger all the way. The cultivation world was really dangerous. He wasn't worried about his disciples. As for Xing Hongxian, Fairy Shixian, and Chang Yue, he was even less worried. All three of them had a heavenly puppet. Hanju was very curious. With Ji Xianchen's strength, if he found the Black Fox Demon Emperor, the latter would definitely die. Why was the Black Fox Demon Emperor still alive? Hanju couldn't figure it out and couldn't be bothered to think about it. This was a tribulation to the mortal world. It didn't concern him. Did he have to personally kill all the demons and fiendish cultivators? Half a year later, Hanju was about to continue cultivating when he suddenly thought of Chu Shiren. I wonder how this kid is doing recently. After all, he was the reincarnation of the revered Supreme Buddha. His identity was even more exaggerated than Murong Qi's. It was impossible for Hanju to forget. He checked Chu Shiren's information and discovered that his cultivation level was still at the 8th level of Qi refinement realm. After so many years, his cultivation level had not increased at all. How could he be as talented as stated? Hanju was secretly puzzled but couldn't be bothered to think about it. 5 years passed. Before the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain, Chu Shiren came to the stone tablet and joined the kneeling group. After so many years, there were still disciples kneeling at the foot of the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. New and old replaced each other, and there were always people hoping to move Hanju with sincerity. Chu Shiren silently knelt down and started to kowtow. I hope that deity-slaying elder can agree to my great kindness Dermic Tao. We can give up cultivating and reform the entire sect. Chu Shiren thought. In a huge stone hall, the Black Fox Demon Emperor sat on a throne made of white bones. He had transformed into a human and had a demonic and cold expression. He had a head of white hair and 6 huge black-furred fox tails behind him. They swayed wantonly and stirred up waves. The Black Fox Demon Emperor sized up a man in the hall mockingly. It was Su Chi. Su Chi half knelt in the hall with his head lowered. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. Why are you seeking refuge with me? The Black Fox Demon Emperor asked. Su Chi was currently at the body integration realm. The Black Fox Demon Emperor naturally had to personally meet such a powerful cultivator. Su Chi looked up and replied, I hate the human race. My parents died when I was young. I've been roaming among the human race for many years and have always been attacked. I don't want to attract attention, but people keep provoking me. The greed of the human cultivators is too great. In order to obtain treasures, they can even abandon their so-called morals. The Black Fox Demon Emperor nodded. He said hatefully, humans always preach that demons eat them, that demons are unforgivable, that demons are all evil. But in fact, the number of demons slaughtered by humans far exceeds those of humans eaten by demons. The Black Fox Demon Emperor found Su Chi more and more pleasing to the eye, but he had yet to let down his guard. You want to join me? What do you want? And what can you do for me? The Black Fox Demon Emperor narrowed his eyes and asked. Su Chi replied, I don't need anything. I just need a place where I can cultivate in peace. I'll cultivate near you and not be disturbed. If you're in danger, I'll definitely do my best to save you. The Black Fox Demon Emperor shook his head and laughed. If he really encountered an enemy he could not defeat, could a mere body integration realm cultivator help? He's a body integration realm cultivator, after all. It'll be easier for me to unite the human race in the future with him around. The Black Fox Demon Emperor's eyes flickered as he thought to himself. He was very ambitious. Not only did he want to unite the demons, but he also wanted to unify the human race and become the master of the mortal world. Several years later, 4 lines of words suddenly appeared in front of Han Ju, who was cultivating. Detected that you are already 1,000 years old and your life has taken another step forward. Because you have kept to your true nature and have been cultivating in a low profile, you have the following choices. 1. Get a random physique. 2. Randomly activate a new function of the system. 3. Obtain a supreme treasure. Han Ju raised his eyebrows. It was indeed beneficial to keep a low profile. But what should he choose? Han Ju's cultivation potential was the spiritual physique of the 6 paths. It was indeed very helpful in terms of cultivation speed, but he felt that it was not enough. Looking at Ji Xianchen and Zhou Fan, their physiques sounded domineering. The new function of the system was also worth looking forward to. According to the previous functions, the system's functions couldn't directly make Han Ju stronger or save his life. They were all support-based abilities. As for the third option, Han Ju ignored it. He hesitated for a long time before finally choosing the second option. A new function of the system. You have chosen to activate a new function of the system. Congratulations on activating the Dao Field function. Dao Field, choose a location as your Dao Field. It has functions such as defense, divine sense perception blocking, increased spirit chi, and others. The upper limit of each function is based on the cultivation of the Dao Field Lord. The higher the cultivation, the stronger the Dao Field is. Dao Field? A strengthened form of barrier. Not only that. The increase in spirit chi was quite impressive. Overjoyed, Han Ju directly chose the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain to open the Dao Field. If he ascended in the future, he would definitely bring the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal Mountain with him. A line of words appeared in front of him. You have successfully opened the Dao Field. The Dao Field can currently defend against all attacks below the Grand Unity Heaven Immortal Realm. It can block the divine sense of those below the Deity Realm. It can block the Heavenly Dao. The spirit chi has increased by 5 times and the immortal chi has increased by 2 times. Han Ju widened his eyes. So impressive. He was totally overpowered now. What did it mean by blocking the heavenly Tao? Was it equivalent to the heaven-evading stone? By blocking the heavenly Tao, you will not be affected by the rules of the heavenly Tao, including forced ascension. In that case, Han Ju could nurture all his disciples to become immortals. When the time came, they would ascend together. If all his disciples and grand-disciples reached the peak of their previous lives, how strong would they be? Han Ju suppressed his excitement and guessed, could it be that by persevering and persisting in my Tao heart, I will constantly be rewarded by the system? At the same time, under the Fusang tree, Tu Linger opened her eyes and asked curiously, do you feel that the spirit chi is increasing? The black hell chicken harumphed. Is it that rare? The gourd vine has already formed seeds. Tu Linger felt that it made sense. Yang Tiandong couldn't help but look at the Connate cave abode. The most up-to-date novels are published on Light Novel World. He had a feeling that it was definitely his master's doing. In the following period of time, they were pleasantly surprised to find that the speed at which the spirit chi increased became faster and faster. In less than a month, the density of the spirit chi was at least 5 times that of before. Everyone on the mountain was very excited, including Han Ju. With double the immortal chi, Han Ju's cultivation speed would also double. In the blink of an eye, another 15 years passed. Han Ju successfully broke through to the perfected reincarnation Earth Immortal Realm. Awesome! After breaking through, Han Ju was excited. Next was the reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. At that time, even if the giant spiritual martial god personally descended, Han Ju wouldn't be afraid. Han Ju took out the Book of Misfortune and started to celebrate. At the same time, at the foot of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, a middle-aged man kowtowed while trembling. It was Chu Shiren. After kneeling for 20 years, Chu Shiren was on the verge of collapse. However, he was very stubborn. The more Han Ju didn't accept him, the more he wanted to kneel here. He believed in one thing. If he was sincere, it would work. During this period, his master, the Heavenly Thunder Peak's coaching elder, had come to visit him many times. If not for that, Chu Shiren would have died long ago. His experiences were also widespread in the sect. Kneeling from a young man to a middle-aged man, this willpower was stunning. In order to keep kneeling, Chu Shiren had no choice but to cultivate. The spirit chi at the foot of the Cultivate diligently become immortal mountain was also very abundant, causing his cultivation to reach the first level of the Foundation Establishment realm. After breaking through to the Foundation Establishment realm, he stopped cultivating. This was his principle. He wouldn't cultivate if he didn't have to. He also attracted the attention of Yang Tiandong, Tu Linger, and the three-headed Wirm king. This brat is really going all out. The three-headed Wirm king clicked his tongue in wonder. Tu Linger shook her head and said, not only is he hardworking, it only took him a month to break through from the 8th level of Qi refinement realm to the Foundation Establishment realm. Such talent was ridiculous. She had never heard of such talent even in the heavenly immortal manner. With such talent, why didn't Master accept him? Yang Tiandong's eyes lit up. He had finally found one. This guy was even more talented than Fang Liang and Murong Qi. Yang Tiandong immediately stood up and went to visit Han Ju. After entering the cave abode, he knelt in front of Han Ju and talked about Chu Shiren. Han Ju had a strange expression. It only took him a month to reach the Foundation Establishment realm from the 8th level of Qi refinement realm. That was a little absurd. Han Ju hesitated. He was afraid of the Supreme Buddha's identity, but if the Buddhist sect really targeted him and he kept rejecting them, he would probably offend them. The mighty Buddha had knelt before him for 20 years. Was this sincere enough? What am I afraid of? I've even recruited the Divine Palace War God, the Demon Saint, and the Golden Crows. Why should I be afraid of the Buddhists? Han Ju thought silently. If the Buddhists were enemies, he should have received a notification of hatred points. Then go accept him, Han Ju said casually. Yang Tiandong was pleasantly surprised. He hurriedly thanked Han Ju and left quickly. Dao Comprehension Sword curled her lips. When will it be my turn? Some female disciples were also kneeling at the foot of the mountain. She had thought about it when she saw Yang Tiandong accepting a disciple. Han Ju said calmly, taking in a disciple depends on cultivation potential. Alright, I hope that my precious disciple will appear soon. Dao Comprehension Sword had a look of anticipation. Han Ju shook his head and laughed. He suddenly thought of something and smiled mysteriously. Perhaps your disciple has already appeared. Dao Comprehension Sword's beautiful eyes widened. She hurriedly asked, where? On the Fusang tree. Golden Crow. Are you worthy? Who is that? The Black Hell Chicken. The Chaotic Heavenly Dog. Visit Light Novel World. Com for the best novel reading experience, will they agree? True. The Seed of the Earth Immortal Gourd Vine. Dao Comprehension Sword was stunned before coming to a realization. Her true form was the heaven and earth grass. If she could transform, why couldn't the seeds of the Earth Immortal Gourd, which had a greater background, do so? On the mountain road. Yang Tiandong helped Chu Shuren up the mountain. After kneeling for 20 years, Chu Shuren's legs trembled as he walked. Chu Shuren forced a smile while Yang Tiandong was very excited. He had finally accepted a disciple. He was already looking forward to the scene of Chu Shuren fighting Fang Liang and Murong Qi alone. In the future, you will be my first disciple. Cultivate well and don't disappoint me. Yang Tiandong smiled. Chu Shuren frowned and said, cultivate? Impossible. I'll never cultivate in my life. I want to become the deity-slaying elder's disciple and persuade him to give up cultivating and pursue the great kindness Dharmic Tao together. Yang Tiandong almost tripped. What the heck? Impossible to cultivate? Yang Tiandong really wanted to leave Chu Shuren behind. However, on second thought, with the abundant spirit Qi in the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, this kid would definitely not be able to resist cultivating in the future. If he didn't cultivate, what could he do on the mountain? When can I see the deity slaying? Grandmaster? Chu Shuren asked expectantly. If the deity-slaying elder took the lead in giving up on cultivation, the Jade Pure Sacred Sect would definitely follow. Let's see how you perform. Yang Tiandong was very dissatisfied. This disciple wasn't close towards him at all. In the dark world, the ground was covered in demon beast corpses. Bloody mist filled the world. Fang Liang held a sword and knelt on a mountain of corpses. He gasped for breath, his face covered in blood. He looked up with difficulty and saw a mighty figure in the sky. It was Ji Xianxian. Ji Xianxian was also looking at him. Their eyes met, and their gazes were quite similar. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. What's your name? What sect are you from? Ji Xianxian asked condescendingly. Fang Liang took a deep breath and said, Ji Xianxian, I know you, the #1 prodigy of the heavenly immortal manner. Hearing this, the corners of Ji Xianxian's mouth curled up even more. Oh. Since you've heard of me, it means that you're from the same world as me. Take me as your master. Your potential is very good. I can make you second in the world. Ji Xianxian said proudly. He had only helped Fang Liang because he saw that he was talented. Oh. Since you've heard of me, it means that you're from the same world as me. Take me as your master. Your potential is very good. I can make you second in the world. Ji Xianchen said proudly. He had only helped Fang Liang because he saw that he was talented. Fang Liang wiped the blood off his face and smiled with difficulty. You're the number one in the world. Are you serious? Ji Xianchen frowned, feeling a little panicked. The news of him losing to Han Ju had not spread. How did this person know? I'm from the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. You've looked for my grandmaster several times. Have you forgotten? Fang Liang asked with a smile. Ji Xianchen was moved. Endless embarrassment and anger occupied his heart. You are Guan Chao Chao's grand disciple? Ji Xianchen asked in shock. That's right. Previously, you looked for my grandmaster. I saw it on the Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain. You. At this moment, Ji Xianchen suddenly had the urge to silence them. However, Fang Liang was Han Ju's grand disciple. He couldn't do anything to him. In the entire world, only Cao Cao was his good and close friend. The two of them had agreed to fight Heavenly Court together. With such a relationship, Fang Liang could be considered his grand junior. So that's how it is. Fellow Taoist Chao's grand disciple is indeed not simple. Since I'm close friends with your grandmaster, why don't we travel the demon realm together? If you die here, fellow Taoist Chao will also be sad. Ji Xianchen laughed and landed behind Fang Liang, using his spirit energy to heal him. Fang Liang said, actually, I was once a disciple of the heavenly immortal manner. My name is Fang Liang. Have you heard of me? Ji Xianchen replied, no. I've never bothered finding out about anyone in the heavenly immortal manner, nor do I care about the other disciples. How pretentious. Fang Liang complained inside. However, he was still very curious about Ji Xianchen. He was the number one in the world, even if that was only on the surface. 5 years later. Han Ju forcefully broke through to the early stage of the reincarnation heaven immortal realm. His dermic powers surged. His soul was elevated. Follow current novels on Light Novel World. In conclusion, it was awesome. The entire Cultivate Diligently Become Immortal mountain shook. Dao Comprehension Sword had been chased out of the cave abode a year ago. She was discussing this with others. Master broke through again. The three-headed Wirm King asked in surprise. Yang Tiandong sighed. Master is not only cultivating diligently, but his talent is also far beyond ours. Chu Shiren was heartbroken. He had broken through again. No. I have to persuade Grandmaster. He suddenly stood up and walked towards the cave abode. However, just as he approached the cave abode's entrance, he was sent flying by a terrifying force, vomiting blood. Yang Tiandong hurriedly caught him. The black hell chicken smiled teasingly. Yang Tiandong, you have to take care of your disciple. If his thoughts are discovered by Master, he will die very miserably. Everyone knew that Han Ju was only interested in cultivation. Trying to persuade Han Ju not to cultivate was definitely courting death. Yang Tiandong smiled bitterly. He looked at the unconscious Chu Shiren and felt a headache. 5 years. 5 whole years. This fellow really didn't cultivate. Unimaginable. How could there be such a person in the world who had unparalleled talent but did not want to cultivate? It was simply against the heavenly Tao. If not for Chu Shiren's rare aptitude, Yang Tiandong would have slapped him to death. When his lifespan is up, he will know that he needs to cultivate. Dao Comprehension Sword covered her mouth and laughed. Seeing Chu Shiren's attitude made her feel better. Fortunately, she did not rush to take him in as a disciple. This content is taken from Light Novel World. Ada suddenly said, although he doesn't cultivate, his soul is very strong. It contains an aura that makes us siblings palpitate. Xiao Er nodded. With that said, the others couldn't help but look at Chu Shiren curiously. On the cultivate diligently become immortal mountain, other than Han Ju, no one was stronger than the two golden crows. Where did Chu Shuren come from? Name, Han Ju, lifespan, 1020/14,004,399, race, immortal, cultivation, early stage of the reincarnation heaven immortal realm, technique, 6 paths of reincarnation, can be inherited, magic, unparalleled finger divine sword, 7 illusionary steps, 3 pure shadow sword, unparalleled, 9 dragons devil expelling seal, major kiliacosm thunderstorm, wind god technique, still phase technique, mystical power, 6 paths soul absorption, heavenly punishment ghost deity sword, imitate. Heaven and earth, somersault cloud, 10,000 sword sect, can be inherited, Tathagata incantation, 6 paths ultimate seal, firmament sword chi, heaven earth mystic yellow world piercing sword finger, universe in the sleeves, door of reincarnation, invocation technique, 3 heads 6 arms, equipment, little universe belt, Qilin sword, demon binding rope, burning fiend bell, 6th grade numinous treasure, book of misfortune, grand unity supreme treasure, earth emperor's soul ward, 3rd grade numinous treasure, heart protecting immortal chain, 3rd grade numinous treasure, calm meditation mat, grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, heavenly spirit bracelet, supreme grade numinous treasure, purple gold soft armor, grand unity 8th grade numinous treasure, 9-layered heaven trampling boots, grand unity 6th grade numinous treasure, giant spiritual wrist guard, grand unity 5th grade numinous treasure, imperial dragon destiny carriage, grand unity 2nd grade numinous treasure, 9-5 supreme providence robe, grand unity supreme treasure, grand imperial phoenix wings crown, grand unity supreme treasure. 14 million years of lifespan. Who else could compare to him? Han Ju was really arrogant now. 1,000-year-old heaven immortal was unparalleled in the myriad worlds. But he couldn't be proud. The 2 little golden crows were born with Mahayana realm cultivation. Such talent was only at the bottom of the golden crow divine clan. It was difficult to imagine how ridiculous the number 1 prodigy was. Han Ju suppressed his excitement and consolidated his cultivation. The Tao Field's defense has been raised to the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. It can defend against all attacks below the Grand Unity True Immortal Realm. Congratulations on breaking through to the Reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. You have the following choices: 1. Immediately ascend and become an immortal god. You can obtain a heavenly Tao Spirit Stone. 2. Don't ascend for the time being. Continue cultivating. You can obtain a bottle of golden pills from the Tao sect. The source of this content is Light Novel World. Han Ju didn't hesitate and chose the second option. Information regarding the golden pill of the Tao sect appeared before his eyes. Tao sect golden pill. The Tao sect created a golden pill that can increase one's cultivation. It has the effect of reviving the dead, restoring the body, and increasing one's lifespan by 10,000 years. Not bad. Not bad. He could use it to save his life. Although Han Ju was confident, he was not arrogant. What if his body was destroyed one day? However, could souls consume pills? The Tao sect was quite something. Han Ju continued to consolidate his cultivation. A year later, his cultivation level completely stabilized at the early stage of the Reincarnation Heaven Immortal Realm. After calling Tao Comprehension Sword back in, he began to comprehend the 3 pure world cleansing. In less than 5 minutes, he stepped into the Sword Tao River. Compared to before, it was a complete transformation. It had been a long time since he last saw Zhang Guxing. Han Ju missed him. Of course, the most important thing was to posture. Han Ju walked in front of Zhang Guxing and showed his cultivation without hesitation. Zhang Guxing sensed his aura and nodded in satisfaction. He smiled and said, "Not bad, you have reached the heaven immortal." Wait. How did you do this? Are you possessed by an immortal emperor? Zhang Guxing's tone was filled with fear. This kid cultivates too quickly. It doesn't make sense. Han Ju smiled and said, "There's no such thing. I cultivated diligently every day and tried my best to reach this cultivation level." Zhang Guxing said with a strange tone, "The heavenly court is going to suffer. Zhang Guxing's favorability towards you has increased." Current favorability, 5 stars, Han Ju smiled in satisfaction. This good brother was really predictable. The Sword God Emperor has a favorable impression of you. Current favorability, 3 stars, read at Wuxia World. You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.